Good evening, everyone. We want to bring to order the Santa Cruz County Board of Education regular board meeting. Welcome everybody who is here in person and online. Thank you. We're going to go ahead and start with our roll call.
Trustee Acosta? Trustee Kyle?
Here.
Trustee or Vice President Larson?
Here.
Trustee Roth?
Here.
Trustee Sanchez?
Here.
Trustee Van Ellen? President Williams?
Here.
Student Trustee Guillen Martinez?
Here.
Student Trustee Amore? You have quorum.
Thank you very much. Do we have anybody for SB 707 that will be participating remotely?
No request for remote attendance, President Williams.
All right, thank you very much. At this time, we're going to read the land acknowledgement. The land on which we gather is under the unceded territory of the Assawas speaking UP tribe. The Amotsin tribal band comprised of the descendants and indigenous taken to Mission Santa Cruz and San Juan Bautista during the Spanish colonization of the Central Coast is today working hard to restore traditional stewardship practices on these lands and heal from historical trauma. At this time, we'll ask Dr. Sabat to lead us in the Pledge of Allegiance. So if you can and able, please stand.
Ready, begin. I pledge allegiance to the flag of the United States of America and to the republic for which it stands, one nation, under God, indivisible, with liberty and justice for all.
Thank you. At this time, we are going to approve our agenda, but before we do, I have a requested change of order. We would like to move item 11.1 just before item 10. Can I get a motion?
So moved.
Modification. Second?
That was to adopt with that.
Yep. And we just a voice. All those in favor? Abstain? No? Passes. Thank you. Okay, so next we're going to move on to the public comment. This is an opportunity for the public to address the board regarding items not on the agenda. Is there anyone in person or online wishing to make a comment?
Seeing no requests, President Williams.
Thank you. At this time, we're going to go into our student trustee reports, and we'll ask Vicente Guillen Martinez to provide his report.
I don't really have a planned speech, but I could give some upcoming events and events that I've done. Well, first, most importantly, it was my birthday, so I'm finally
Happy
18.
birthday, woo!
But I've had a lot of appointments and stuff, like physicals and driving license stuff to do. So I've been pretty busy, but I had a student listening session again, this time at Waltamo High School. We had a pretty good amount of students there. And we talked about one of the most things that I remember the most. We talked about like the students wanting a water fountain, and then we got a water fountain. So we saw a pretty good turnaround from the two trustees that were there. And then also I'm going to be speaking at the No Kings protest for March 28th. March 28th, I'm going to be speaking. They asked me to speak, so I was like, yeah, I'll do it. And been very busy with school and scholarships and stuff. Pretty much it for me. Thank you.
Thank you, and happy belated birthday.
At which of the No Kings will you be speaking?
I pretty much think it's going to be the one they're going to be downtown Watsonville.
Okay.
28th downtown Watsonville.
Thanks. You may see me there.
All right, next we'll hear from student trustee Asher Moore.
This past sort of month, the major sort of community event that I did was I did an event of why you should care about gender affirming care. And that was pretty cool. Basically, we talked about what it's like, gender affirming care, and why it's super important for there to still be gender affirming care for everyone. And sort of there were some like political leaders there, and we just were able to talk about like personally my experience, you know, with gender affirming care and just about what's going on. So that's exciting. And then coming up next month, I will be able to get a tour of our alternative education sites. I'm also going to be doing a elevating LGBTQ plus inclusion for like workplace and businesses event. So I'm excited about that. And then also with, I think it's the queer youth something. Rob Darrow invited me to go to the Capitol to speak with policymakers. And that's next month on the 25th. And so I'm going to be doing that. I'm super excited to do that.
I believe that's with the Queer Student Union.
Yeah.
Amazing. Thank you very much. Thank you both, student trustees.
Question, if I may,
Of
or a
course.
comment. I was at the reaffirming gender care, and Ash was being very humble in his presentation here, but he was one of 4 panelists to the room full of people about the importance of that issue, and your remarks were very impressive and much appreciated.
Thank you, trustee. Okay. Item number 7, our consent agenda. Are there any questions, comments? Can I get a motion?
So moved.
Second.
First and a second. All those in favor?
Aye.
Aye.
Oppose? Abstain? Motion passes.
And President Williams, maybe I should have made my comment before. I just wanted to throw out 2 kudos. One for the new minutes format, including the votes and all of that was great. Thank you. And then also the comprehensive school safety plan. Every detail we could ever want is in there, which is great because it's that important. And the trends were all good, and I greatly appreciated staff presenting not only the current state, but how it fit into the trend line. That just makes it easier, I think, to review as a board member.
Excellent. All right. We have moved item 11.1 to our next. Do you have something? Oh, no, my apologies. We have also item number 9, correspondence. Do we have any additional correspondence other than what is in our packet?
Yes, the only other additional correspondence that was not included in your packet was an email from me regarding your Form 700 completion that is due April 1st. So that was my also friendly reminder to complete that.
Thank you for those reminders. They're extremely helpful. Right, right. Okay, at this time, we're going to do one item of new business, our resolution 2604, authorizing the execution and delivery of certificate of participation. At this time, we're going to hear from Dr. Sabah and Michelle Kennedy. And
Yes, I'd like to welcome Michelle Kennedy, who is working with us in the Business Services Department, as well as helping us with maintenance and operations, and doing an outstanding job there. And kind of with one of the skill sets that Ms. Kennedy brings is knowledge on construction projects. And so Ms. Kennedy is helping us with the project at Soquel High School, which is the development of the new facility for our special education students. And so we'd like to welcome her and thank her for being here.
Hi, good evening, Board. Dr. Sabah, thank you for having me. So this evening, I'm going to be doing two resolutions for the board to approve. This first one is in regards to our COPS loan. Leanne had previously brought forward to the board that we were going to need to go out for bridge financing until our financing came through from funding for the state for previous projects and the current project. So there's kind of three pathways we're going. This pathway for this current resolution for our COPS loan. The second pathway will be later for another resolution so that we can go into contract with the SONIO. which is the firm that we selected to do our lease back. And then the third track that we're on is the additional funding from the state for modernization and new building funding. So kind of 3 paths at the same time. Thankfully, I have our partners here. Joe Crump is from Dale Scott, and they're the company, they're our financial advisors who are helping us put together this bridge loan, as well as DWK, who are the attorneys that we're working with on each of these projects together. So tonight, I want to bring forward is our next step in the process that we need the board's approval for this resolution so that we can go out and accept the $7.5 million. That's what we're anticipating right now. We're actually hoping it'll come in less for the completion of the project, but we would like the board's approval to go forward with our COPS loan at the $7.5 million. And so that we can go on to our next spot, which is starting our building project, which hopefully, fingers crossed, we'll start working. Actual work will begin in about April. So I'm here to answer any questions the board might have, and Joe is here to answer any financial questions I might not be able to answer for you. So is there anything the board has?
I had a few, but I'll leave it up to, open it up to the other trustees first. Does anybody?
Great. Not really any question, just thank you for all the information and 2 quick stories. I've been involved, I think, in 5 COPs before, all from the municipal side and never as a policymaker, always from the staff side. So it's interesting to see it and read the documents from a different perspective, but they were all familiar structurally to what I've seen before. I did focus on the preliminary official statement. I find that is kind of where it all comes together in terms of how we're presenting ourselves to the world for this debt issuance. And it looked like what I've seen before, and I was pleased to see the expertise the county office is relying upon. The only irony is I've managed a couple of redevelopment agencies in my career, and I was aggressively against the taking of redevelopment funds, but now it's great to be on this side where we're getting to benefit from them to pay off this debt. So
Yes, we are, from a school district's perspective, we are very thankful for redevelopment fees.
so I don't really have any questions or issues, but comfortable with what was presented.
Questions from other board? I just had a few, and it's probably a little in the weeds, so I apologize if it is. So is this particular debt, is it callable? Like, is it something that can, how am I trying to say it? Is it callable? Is the loan itself callable? And if so, when? Like, is there, can it be called back? I mean, is there anything that would prevent us from like maybe paying in advance, or are there any restrictions? Are there any restrictions if we don't use all of the funds? Is it preventing us from using it in other capital projects, that sort of thing?
So I'll answer part of that,
Okay.
and then I will let Joe answer the second part of that. We made sure that we structured this loan in a way that there is an early termination or an early payoff. One of the things that we really wanted to make sure was that payoff it could be in increments and not in a one lump sum at the end of a particular year. So that way we can pay additional amounts when that time comes, or if our bridge funding comes in that, and our state funding to pay, which state funding could take anywhere from 5 to 10 years, as we've talked about in the past, if that's going to come in, and this loan, the duration of this loan will last in that time frame. So yes, we've built in some safeguards to be able to pay off early if that need arises, but then leaving us the option of the full amount of time if our state funding doesn't come in time. And then I'll let Joe speak to some of the uses to come up.
Yeah, thank you, Michelle. Yeah, I think Michelle's answer covered a lot of that. Maybe getting a little more into the weeds. As some of you may know, having a call provision is very standard for any municipal bond or COP or lease. So typically there is what's called an optional redemption provision, which is usually 10 years. So in the numbers that we have modeled so far, this may be subject to some changes, but The current optional redemption provision is 2031, so it's 6 years shorter. But then the idea would be there would be what's called an extraordinary redemption provision, which is a separate item. And that would be subject to the subsidy payments I think you're expecting to receive. And so that's kind of a more restrictive call provision, but it usually is repaid by subsidy or any kind of funding you're expecting. So I think the idea behind that is that would probably be 3 years, or the timing would correspond to whenever you expect the funds. And there's different ways to do it. I don't think a determination has been made. Maybe one way is make the last few payments subject to that. So then you kind of shorten the term of the loan. You could also make it so that all of the maturities are subject to that redemption. So you kind of call part of every maturity. There are kind of pros and cons to how we structure that, but there will be that really short, maybe 3-year call provision.
Thank you. Let's see here. I think that answered most of it. And yeah. And I know that we've been talking about this for some time, so we're prepared. Thank you. Thank you. Appreciate that answer. Thank you.
You're welcome.
Is there any other questions? Okay.
Sorry, I have a question.
Yes.
I just wanted to verify that, was this passed through our?
It was actually a late arising item that came to the agenda committee to add to the agenda because of the April 8th deadline. So it hasn't gone through the finance committee, which the finance committee for the COE typically focus on budgetary issues. And while this will certainly play in the budget when that comes forward, there wasn't any preemptive budget action necessary by us other than the approval of the resolution.
In a previous board meeting, we had brought forward to the board that we were going to enter in, and the board approved that, entering into looking into the funding. And this became then the next step of the board approving us now entering into contract, basically, if you would call it that, to draw down on the funding and finalize.
That was the portion that I recalled. Yeah. All right. Do we have a motion?
I'd like to move Resolution 26-04, authorizing the execution and delivery of certificates of participation, et cetera. 11.1.
Second.
Wonderful. Thank you. Can we get a roll call?
Student trustee Guillen Martinez.
Aye.
Student trustee Amor. Trustee Acosta. Trustee Kyle.
Aye.
Vice President Larson.
Aye.
Trustee Roth.
Yes.
Trustee Sanchez.
Yes.
Trustee Van Allen.
Aye.
President Williams.
Motion passes. Thank you very much.
Thank you very much. And I'd also like to thank Santa Cruz City Schools, their board, and all of their staff, because in cooperation with the school site and the district, we've been able to make this project come forward. So thank you.
Thank you very much. All right. Going into our reports, discussions, and presentations, we have 10.1, our LCAP mid-year report by Dr. Sabah and Dr. Gonzalez.
Yes, thank you so much. I'd like to welcome Dr. Jen Gonzalez to the lectern to provide the mid-year report. This is a kind of a newer aspect of the local control and accountability plan. This really has come up with from concerns that have come up in the past statewide about wanting to make sure that that we didn't wait till the end of the year for board members to hear about what's happening with the LCAP process, because the LCAP process really is a year-round process with the staff working on different components throughout. And so this is a mid-year update, and we're going to help Jen is going to be giving an overview of the process itself and how we're doing in when it comes to our alternative education program. Next, after that, will be Sony Guerra Sanson, who will be presenting about the Career Advancement Charter. So welcome, Dr. Gonzalez. Thanks so much for being here.
Can you hear me now?
Yes.
Okay, perfect. Wonderful. So before presenting anything with regard to the local control and accountability plan, it's important we root it in two main things. So first of all is our alternative education school-wide goals, which is that we assist students in their journey to be more curious, conscientious, and confident. We develop these through our WASP process, and it really emphasizes our goal for lifelong learning, helping students grow into civically engaged, conscientious individuals, and to have the confidence to take the next steps in their lives. Additionally, the foundation of everything we do is within our strategic plan for the County Office of Education. Everything is aligned. We are the largest department in the COE, but we collaborate directly with our vision for everything we do in every department. So it is the Court and Community School LCAP mostly, however, it represents our County Office of Education. So briefly, and just to say, a couple years I used similar slides and I revamped it this year. So if I hesitate, it's because it's not the exact same slide deck I used last year. Tried to make things a little bit more fun, a little bit of AI, and a little more information as we have new trustees and we have new student trustees. So the LCAP, just to review, it is a 3-year plan. We are coming to the end of our 2nd year of this 3-year plan this school year. It identifies goals and actions for our programs. It's aligned with all other plans. I'm sure you know, and you're not surprised, we have many other plans aside from the LCAP that we write. And the LCAP is sort of the largest one and the forward-facing one. It outlines our funding from the local control funding formula, and it requires districts, County Office of Education's to increase and improve services for what the state calls an unduplicated population, which means socioeconomically disadvantaged students, foster youth, and English language learners. All right, the LCAP cycle. Wow, this slide looks a lot better than last year. Bears helped me to redesign the little circle here. So as Dr. Saban mentioned, the LCAP cycle never, ever, ever ends. You are in it in every season of the year. So let's go back to June. It never ends. It never ends. So really, if we start at the top right quadrant here, in the summer in June, we adopted the LCAP. And like I said, this is going to be the end of the 2nd year. You adopt the LCAP and you reflect upon the past year, and then you make predictions on funding and goals and actions for the upcoming year. And of course, we can't predict the future, which is why we go through this cycle of implementation in the fall. And then as Dr. Saban mentioned, although it's one more, requirement that we have to do, I kind of like the mid-year update because it really has us reflect and then see, ooh, this is exactly where we're at fiscally and programmatically. And then before you know it, I will be right back up here again in June to go through the full year and then to project about next year, which will be the end of this cycle. And I like the Kermit the Frog in the middle there. And this is beating a dead horse here. Sorry, not if I can say that anymore. But mid-year LCAP background, essentially in 2023, it required that we do this. Okay, so what are we going to talk about tonight? We're going to talk about available progress on metrics as well as our actions and expenditures. It is completely normal to not have complete data at this point because we are not at the end of the school year. So you will see things where it says in progress, and you will see in some of the metrics, we already have it. For example, the dashboard that the metric is based off on, the dashboard did come out for that we used just at the end of the last year in 2025. So some of the metrics are complete, and it's not going to change in June when I show it to you again. However, some of them are local metrics, such as our academic performance metric, the STAR Renaissance testing. That won't be available until the end of the year. So this year I wanted to go a little bit deeper into what makes County Office, Juvenile Court, and Community Schools. That's what JCCS stands for. What makes our metrics unique? So as Trustee Kyle knows from working on LCAPs in previous years at district level, they all kind of look the same. District metrics are very standardized. They use the same metrics from the dashboard. We have a lot of flexibility awarded to us because our programs are unique. So we have students for a shorter amount of time. We have students who move in and out of programs. And EdCode really allows us to develop our own metrics. So it's important, you'll note, if you're used to looking at, many of you are used to looking at our LCAP because you've been here a long time. But when you look at our LCAP compared to a district LCAP, you will see that we have the ability to use different metrics. Additionally, this goes into the flexibility of how the LCAP writer, myself, determines when to use a unique local metric and when not to. And I will say, when I first started being the author of the LCAP many, many years ago, this flexibility was not emphasized. And so we did write our LCAP with the college and career indicator in there. And it was brutal because it just highlighted negative numbers that did not reflect the amazing work our programs do. Then through the years, we've tried to really change them. Like, for example, our college and career metrics, yes, the CCI indicator is there on the dashboard, but the CCI indicator is looking at the end of a 4-year cohort and a student and seeing, did they complete A through G, or did they do 2 college courses? And so like, it didn't really work for ours. However, there are metrics that work for our programs. And so that's what we really try to do, is to adjust this document and this plan to be impactful for our programs and our community. All right. So our current LCAP goals, we have 5 LCAP goals, and goal 4 and 5 are sort of required goals here. Oh, there's a little screen right here. This is so nice. Sorry, this is a very new podium right here. I'm kind of cranking my head that way. So our first goal is really focus on curiosity, lifelong learning, our academic programs, cultivating a love of learning with students. Goal 2 is the social emotional support for our students, and that's the conscientiousness related goal. Goal 3 is confidence, that's partnering with community-based organizations, that is supporting students with college and career readiness. Goal 4 is the required goal for County Office of Education's to countywide support foster youth as well as expelled youth. And then goal 5 is a goal related to our juvenile hall program, where we get an equity multiplier fund. It's a very, very small amount of funding that we get, and it necessitates with the new funding to have a specific goal for it. So to go through where we're at right now, for goal 1, our highlights are that we are continuing. This is nothing new. We're continuing to have amazing programs, safe and maintained school facilities. Thank you so much to our maintenance department. We have curriculum and instruction materials. One update I wanted to highlight and emphasize this year that is different is that we were able to hire an ELD teacher this year. Her name is Andrea Roth, and she has been a wonderful addition to our programs. And so in the previous years, that sat at $0 spent. And that's okay, because we weren't able to hire for that position. We tried, it didn't work out. We finally hired, and we're very excited for the work that she is doing within our programs. All right, so goal 2, highlights will be, so this is, again, social, emotional, physical well-being. A metric for this that's used in 2 different goals is the graduation rate, because graduation rate really speaks to student engagement and wellness as well. And so our graduation rate has increased over the years, and I'll show you a little bit more specifically. There are some noticeable differences that you will see. For example, spending on extra food and clothing, it's a little bit less at this time of the year, and then it kicks up. However, we are a little bit under what we budgeted, but we still have a lot of the year left. So I wanted to highlight here something also to discuss. Looking at a metric, because I want to show you how hard it is to write an LCAP and develop a good metric, and I want to show you one that maybe I should do differently. I have 2 metrics that I'm kind of looking at that I'm struggling with. So I just want to show you here. We have survey data that's asking students if they have access to counseling. We have increased our counseling and our health and wellness team across all of our programs. We have more counseling and more support than ever before, and students have access to it. But what I've seen over the years is students, it's a Likert scale. And students, when they read it, and I've talked to people about it, when they're reading the question, sometimes they're asking, like, if they're thinking, does that mean I need counseling? So they're kind of answering it as no opinion, as opposed to we're trying to gauge, like, did you know you have counseling? Like we have the flyers everywhere. In every new student, we're trying to say we do have counseling. But sometimes when you read the question, a lot of people that what's increasing on that Likert scale is the no opinion. So that's where it's looking like it's not meeting the metric. So I might adjust that or talk to people more. So I just want you to know there are a couple ones where, for example, there's another one in goal 3 where it's a metric about access to community-based organizations, and realizing you have to really spell that out. Access to Mountains to Sea, access to the YMCA, access to that. So it's a tricky process. It's not perfect. We're trying our best with it, but I can say that we have a phenomenal health and wellness team, and that's something that we have improved, and we have counseling at every single school site. Goal number 3, talking about our community-based partnerships. I want to really highlight our college and career team. We have a college and career champion named Lynn Cooley, and we have more students dually enrolled at more of our sites than ever before. Our student trustee, you've heard from Trustee Amor before about all of the amazing classes and relationship with Cabrillo, and also hearing insight as well from our student trustee and from other students has helped us increase dual enrollment access and success at all of our programs. You will notice that our funding looks, for example, our community-based organization, it looks like we're spending a lot less than expected. That is because we have a few large contracts that invoice only at the end of the year. So at this point of the year, it's not going to reflect that, and at the end of the year, it will be on track. Goal 4 and 5. So for countywide expelled youth plan and for countywide support for foster youth, as well as our equity multiplier, it's full implementation. I will say for the equity multiplier, for the small amount of funds we have for that, we are working on transitioning part of Lynn's position. She'll be supporting juvenile hall students, as well as we have the Rising Scholars grant through Cabrillo, and additionally hired on a new person. So that's actually being paid through Cabrillo through a grant instead of being paid from the equity multiplier funds. All that to say is that our students at Hartman and juvenile hall are receiving excellent college and career support, enrolled in college. And but the funding for that, you'll see on there, it shows the equity multiplier funds, maybe not all expended, but is actually implemented. Okay. Lastly, the budget overview for parents. We have the program side and we have the fiscal side. And this is a quote from my colleague Fred in Madera. And at our statewide meetings, he says, budget a plan, don't plan a budget. And it really stuck with me, because the main point of what we're doing here is we're coming up with these innovative, amazing programs for students. And we are working really hard to ensure that the funding is there for that. And we work with our fiscal department on that. We aren't doing it the backwards way. And that's a strong work in progress, because we will constantly be asking to pay for more things, to pay for more contracts, to pay for more professional development. And it's important that we have a great working relationship with our business department so that they go, oh, I see this. That makes sense. I know that's related to goal 1, goal 2, goal 3. And so that's like seeing the whole picture. And that is so important. And I do get really interested in obviously the fiscal side as well. I stole this from my colleagues from first interim presentation in December, which we all remember. And similar to the LCAP, the budget cycle never ends either. So when we're adopting, or when we're doing our estimated actuals and proposed budget in June, we don't have the full picture. Additionally, as you all know, we're funded, our enrollment is year round, so we don't end until June 30th. And so it's hard to have a complete, accurate picture. So in the mid-year LCAP report, what we do here is thank you, AI, it looks so much better. What we do is at this point, we show you on the left, this is what is adopted in our budget overview for parents. Then after that, a lot changed. The state budget was adopted for funding for schools, and also our supplemental and concentration grants, which are again produced by how many students we have who qualify under those 3 buckets, that's unknown in June. We do a guess, and we're a little conservative on that because it can fluctuate a lot. We need people to fill out the free and reduced lunch form and different things. So you can see here that what we budgeted on the left is there, and then obviously we have at this point in time what we're believing to happen, and then that is it. That is what I have for the mid-year update report. And I appreciate my colleagues here in the room. Everybody else left. And then it's fine. And then I am here with any questions you have. And also any suggestions for June, if there's anything else some of you have heard the spiel a lot. Again, this is the end of, we're in the middle towards the end of a 3-year cycle, but happy to answer any questions. My thoughts.
I have a comment, but I'll open it up to the trustees first.
Just a comment for some of the newer members. You used a term that went by really fast in the beginning, WASC. And I wonder if you could say a little bit about that, because that's such an important thing.
Thank you, Trustee Van Allen.
And as part of the never ending story,
Yes, as part of the never ending story. And that's a good movie. So the Western Association of Schools and Colleges is by far one of the most important things to us and processes, and we do a huge self-study. It's a 6-year process. That accreditation is what allows us to issue diplomas in our programs. And through that process this year, or when we did it 2 years ago now, when we did that process, we revamped all of our school-wide goals and missions. And that's how we came up with the 3 C's, and that was from students and staff and our community. And the buy-in now that we have for it is amazing. And we have utilized that to develop our portrait of a graduate and so many things. It's been such a great and aligning tool. And so just to make sure it's all kind of our North Star, our WASP plan and the LCAP. So I appreciate that, because we do throw around a lot of
and that's
acronyms.
good for, we got a 6-year.
So we got a 6-year, and so all we have to do with no visit in the mid-year. So next year we have to submit a kind of a mid-year cycle, like what this is, to the WASC committee, and we have to say, here's our progress on all of the items that we said that we were committed to. And I'm excited for where we're at now. Like, I'm very confident in that mid-year report for sure.
Getting a 6-year,
Is
what they call it, allocation or whatever, is the top score. We did well.
we got a gold in the
It's the
Olympics.
A+ of
Yeah.
the WASC.
Yeah. Yes. Yes, that's good.
I'd like to know where we stand with free and reduced meals. How can we mandate that they fill them out?
No, but we have done a really good job. And I'm looking at Melissa over here because Melissa comes down sometimes and says, like, did you realize how many forms y'all filled out this year? And so the increase in the percentages of the increase in the supplemental and concentration grants is in large part due to the high participation rate we have with it. But it's a great point. We've gone through years where we've had key people on our team who really went out there and pounded the pavement and talked to families. And so sometimes we have to flex that a little bit more, but ultimately it is up to the families to fill it out. Yeah.
Didn't something occur during COVID where they weren't as critical?
Because we have universal free lunches. And so what happened with that, which is a wonderful thing, but it then in turn, we couldn't say, oh, we can't provide lunch unless we get, not that we would say things like that, but like, you know what I mean? It was, everything's free. Why do I need to fill out one more form? So that is a very good point that is something where, well, it's directly tied to funding for our programs. But we are anticipating an increase than what we budgeted for our supplemental and concentration grants.
And maybe you could add new people, how critical free and reduced, how it's used throughout funding process.
It's a great suggestion. And we also have wonderful community organizers and support members who are closely connected to families. And so when we're calling families to discuss, like we're missing this enrollment form or this thing, they're really well equipped to have that conversation. So it's a great reminder to continue to do that because it's extremely important.
This isn't kind of at the same level as English as a second language.
Yeah, socioeconomically disadvantaged English language learners and foster youth. And foster youth is the smallest group in that pot or collection.
Right.
No,
It's one of my pet, I
yeah,
don't know if it's a peeve, but a troublesome
yeah.
idea. With the districts, do
Mhm.
we supply any kind of help to them to collect this data?
You're talking about qualifying for free and reduced lunch?
Mhm.
So most districts utilize a process called direct certification, which comes from the county when families qualify for Medi-Cal. So those families automatically qualify for a free and reduced lunch without the need for completing the forms. One of the concerns is in the current state, lots of families who used to qualify for Medi-Cal are not qualifying for Medi-Cal because of changes to Medicaid and the federal government's aggressive tactics towards vulnerable communities. And that would mean that more families or less families are more families are in a position where they're not getting qualified for Medi-Cal, which would mean that the direct certification to the districts is not occurring. So the importance of the completion of the free and reduced lunch forms is something that we've been talking about with district superintendents, because the combination of direct certification and the fear that families experience with completion of forms and anything formal at this point could create a situation where less families are going to qualify for a free reduced lunch. So this is something we're definitely paying a lot of attention to, wanting to remind families that this is something that is safe. It is not shared with anybody in terms of their qualifying for free and reduced lunch, and it's very important for us to be able to get the funding we need to provide services.
And one more thing. It is sometimes difficult staffing wise for the districts to track down these folks. And that was part of my question. Is there a way that we are helping out the smaller districts or even districts that are maybe missing staff?
I'm not understanding that they track down the forms. How do you
Trying to
mean?
get people to fill the forms out.
Right.
They
right.
get, I think they go home in their first day packets or whatever they call it. But
Mhm.
it's trying to make sure it is. Some people don't want to fill it out because of social pressure.
Mhm.
But it directly affects the district.
Correct. I agreed, and it is something that we, I think that this is something that all the school districts are looking at carefully and are working to communicate with families to let them know that this is safe and for them to complete this. And in the case that they don't qualify for Medi-Cal, that they still can and should qualify for a free reduced lunch, and to make sure that they complete the forms.
We're kind of under enough stress. District level and then.
Mhm.
Simple, just cost, but the state should bear it.
So just to clarify, so what became available to everybody were the lunches. So those were, but the actual qualifying for free and reduced lunch is necessary to be able to under the local control funding formula, making sure that those unduplicated students, those students that qualify for either one of those three categories, which is free and reduced lunch, which is considered low socioeconomically disadvantaged. The second category is English learners, and the third one is foster youth. And that's how the local control funding formula gives us additional supplemental and concentration funding. And so the challenge is that we continue to provide free lunches for everybody, and we want families to complete the form. So because there's that incentive that used to exist, which would qualify, is no longer there. And the direct certification process can be somewhat compromised by this impact on Medi-Cal. So all of these things, as you're, I think, both asserting clearly, it requires us to continue our efforts to make sure that families are completing the free and reduced lunch forms.
Vice President Larson?
First, thank you for the presentation. Some of the questions I had, you answered by calling out those metrics. In particular, I was pleased you called out the counseling one because that popped out.
Yep.
And it's not a challenge of performance, it's a challenge of the metric. And so that was great to clarify that. The other one that just stuck out to me, and unlike Trustee Kyle, I'd never seen an LCAP before I joined the board a year ago, and this has all been a learning curve, and the graphics were helpful. But now I see how important they are, and many people probably approaching an LCAP think, well, I'd prefer to go get a root canal. But when you see how important it is, you know that that's not the way to approach it. But I was struck to see in an LCAP metric that we are thrilled. That's thrilled is not the word you ever expect to see embodied in an LCAP. But then when you explained it was for Teacher Roth, who is one of my daughter's 2 favorite teachers out of her entire educational career in this county, it's understandable. And then I assume that led to the performance metric up above, which was equally impressive, where you had a goal of 5 to 10 English learners being reclassified, and you're already at 15 midway through the year. I'm assuming those are connected.
They most certainly are connected. So Andrea Roth and Jessica Gonzalez Martinez are our team for supporting our reclassification efforts. And reclassification is an honor when a student meets certain metrics, so to speak, to be reclassified as proficient in English language. For many years, we had 0 to 1 student. It's like everything's state related. It's a complex process. You've got to score a 4 on the LPAC. It is a hard test to score a 4 on. You have to be there and show up and do it. You have to have recommendations. You have to have an observation. You have to do well on your local metric. Before it used to be the SBAC or the CASP, and we have it on our Star Renaissance. And be through a coordinated effort, before spearheaded by Jessica, I definitely want to highlight her, but with Jessica combined with Andrea and Crystal, Renteria, who runs our LPAC testing with Jessica, through this team effort, everything came into place. And there was a beautiful ceremony held at Sequoia Schools to honor all of those students and their families. And it was a truly emotional and remarkable thing of showing like this is a very important action to us. And I'm glad we chose that metric, and I'm glad we have the people in place to make it come to fruition. So I appreciate that.
Yeah. And just to close it out, and then I'm done. Since you mentioned AI, I just queried, how often is AI ever used in an LCAP, or thrilled ever used in an LCAP in California? And it said sometimes in the superintendent's statement, in community letters, or in vision statements, rarely in measures and goals. So
Yep, I appreciate you, and Trustee Van Allen. I can always tell that you appreciate the human side. All trustees do, but we're human, and we speak excitedly when we're excited, and plainly and real when things need to be changed. Yeah. Or sorry.
Well, first of all, this is my first time sitting on this side for an
Welcome.
LCAP presentation,
Yes.
and that was wonderful, so engaging.
Oh, thank you.
So excellent presentation, very dynamic. What I'm just going to reference back to is the North Star, because that's sort of the perspective I always took from the LCAP. Is it's not just a hoop to jump through. This is our vision and our plan of action and where we direct our money, and community voice saying where to direct the money.
Yes.
And so to hear you link it all together in that way just makes me, even more proud than I'm already to sit in this seat. But you did an excellent job, and it was, I'm one of those weirdos. I enjoyed reading it.
Thank you.
I have a clarifying question. You mentioned goal 2 in terms of expected annual measurable objectives, the survey that was used to talk about the access to counselors. You talked about there potentially being another way of measuring that, or is the focus on wording of the actual survey itself?
It's the focus. It can be either. So, but the focus on wording, it is the first thing I'm thinking of, that and the community-based organization metric, because you can completely change it to studying how many people are accessing counseling over the years. All of those will be allowable to use, but what I think I can do this year and to work on is to just modify the understanding of it and the wording for it. We just had in January, our statewide LCAP writers meeting in it. And that was one thing that was really emphasized was it's not wrong. We used to think, oh, you can never change anything. It's not wrong to change a metric. You sometimes roll things out and realize, well, that did not work out right. And it's also on me increasing awareness with every person when they're administering it to really emphasize, hey, I've noticed over the past couple of years, more people are answering, no opinion on this, like having that discussion with our people who are sitting with students saying, here, this is what this is about. But mostly it's modifying how it's worded.
Because I feel like we might have discussed this in years past as well, but the school climate, right? When you're talking about a safe space, we're talking about like emotional safe, where I can say what I want without feeling judged, or we're talking about like physical space where, violence. I think wording, plays a huge role in terms of what those numbers are and how people or students respond to them.
It's true. Yeah.
Thank you.
Thank you.
Thank you. My fellow trustees asked and responded to a lot of the things I had listed, but I also want to congratulate you and the team on exceeding the goal, the 1.6 English learners reclassification. That's incredible. And thank you for addressing the counseling, because I did have that one as well. And it was brought up, and the secondary question was asked by trustee there. So thank you very much. I appreciate it. And keep doing what you guys are doing, because it's incredible.
Just one more comment. Dr. Gonzalez, I just really appreciated that you were very frank and open about how you're struggling with a couple of those measurements, those metrics. I've been in plenty of public situations where the staff person would never acknowledge struggling. And
it's real.
And it's somewhat dishonest, but the main thing is that this is a learning organization here that's fostered by our superintendent and you, and that's a really important thing for us to know that something wasn't just something that you just, pulled out of the computer or didn't give deep thought to and didn't have some struggles with at the time, because we are trying to fit something from out, the state into our situation here. It's not always going to be perfect. So anyway, I just want to appreciate your openness about that.
I appreciate that. It's something I want to say for Dr. Sabah and Johnny Rice and my admin colleagues that we talk a lot about, and managers, about who we are as leaders here in the County Office of Education. And I'm inspired by being able to be my honest, true self as a leader in the educational community. And one of the biggest things is being honest and real and saying, I struggle with some things, we're trying. And I know we've got you can come and see our programs and everything's going well. And so I appreciate that, because it's important to me too, to work in an organization that believes in that.
Gonzalez,
Thank
I really
you.
appreciate your time in the presentation.
Thank you. Thank you.
All right, item 10.2, LCAP for our career advancement charter with Dr. Sabah and Denise Sanson.
Yes, it's my pleasure to welcome the executive director for the Career Advancement Charter, and actually our CALS program, which is our Career and Adult Learning Services program. Ms. Sanson is going to be, Ms. Guerra Sanson, sorry, is going to be providing the LCAP for the Career Advancement Charter. And you're going to see some similarities, I think, because the two of them worked on these presentations together. Please take it away.
Thank you, Dr. Sabah. Good evening, trustees. Thank you for being here with us. And yes, it's really great to go second because Jen is more of an expert on the LCAP than I am. So I get to follow her lead and she helps me a lot. So I actually love to start this meeting with gratitude. Gratitude for you all, for your support, for our superintendent. Also for our business department, our colleagues who are here, maintenance and operations. I got to give a shout out to HR because they do so much for us. And I think that something unique here at the county office is that interdependence with our departments and the collaboration that happens. So it's I wanted to note that. As said, this mid-year report really does give us an opportunity to assess, to see where we're at. And I can say with confidence that the Career Advancement Charter is doing pretty well. I'm going to go ahead and get started here. Hopefully this goes the right way. Nope. Green. Thank you. Okay, so a quick overview of where Career and Adult Learning Services fits into the student programs division. We're still a newer department in student programs. You can see here, along with my colleagues here in alternative education, Career and Adult Learning provides services for adults and students in career technical education programs, so also high school students. And a lot of the counseling initiative and mental health support we have is in collaboration with our student support services department. And then of course our special education. So as I said, we're newer, I want to say about 5 years in as a department for career and adult learning. And so I wanted to share that with you. And what we do in career and adult learning, what I'm presenting today for you all is directly tied to the Career Advancement Charter, which is a high school diploma program for adult learners. We are a K-12 charter, so very unique and also struggle with some of the metrics and doesn't always fit for us. As mentioned, the Career Tech Magnet programs, that would be like culinary, and also we have an ICT course that we offer for high school students, our fire technology. So some of these are long-standing courses that have been part of the county office for many years. We also have career training programs for adults, so our medical and dental assisting. I know you've heard or you know something about that. We also have a wildland fire and a building trades peer apprenticeship. You've heard me probably talk about that before. And then our Sueños program, which is a work experience program for youth age 16 to 24 in Watsonville. So those are the components of the department that I get to oversee. And also with my gratitude, I got to back up and say that all of this work is possible. I get to be here tonight talking with you all and sharing the report and the highlights and the challenges. And none of this could happen without the team that is at the site right now. And so I wanted to acknowledge all of their hard work. Everything that we've been able to accomplish in this little department that's grown quite a bit is because of the people attached. And I'm proud to be part of that team. So the Career Advancement Charter actually got these photos today from our COE photographer. These are photos from our January graduation. So I updated my slide deck with the most recent photos that I have. We don't have technically like a motto, but we sort of do, and it's nunca es tarde, which means it's never too late. And so that was actually branded by a student who came back to earn her high school diploma as a 35-year-old. And so she was sharing with other students, like, it's never too late here. And so that has become kind of our tagline. So the Career Advancement Charter, through our WASC self-study, which we also got the A+ in the 6th year, and that was last year for us, which actually lined up perfectly with the LCAP year 1 of that plan. So that was a unique opportunity for us. We serve adult students across the county. So these are the locations that we're at. We have programming here across the street at the annex. We have Sequoia Schools, where I'd say the majority of our programming is. Did I leave out Centro Avance? I think I did. We're at both probation success centers in North and South County. We also provide high school diploma and career technical education classes at the locked facilities, all 3 locked facilities in our county, Main Jail, Blaine Street, and the Roundtree facility. And what is not on here that I failed to include is our new school at 119 West Beach, Centro Avance. And we have quite a presence there as well for the Career Advancement Charter. So Jen went through this. What is the LCAP? Hopefully you have some familiarity with it now. And again, this is the mid-year. We will update you again in June. If we need to, we'll adjust our goals, we'll change metrics, et cetera. And so you also saw this. Again, kind of nice to go second. Right? Oh, yeah. A little bit different. The requirement here, language around that and why we have to do it. So same thing, the metrics as you saw in the report, some of the metrics are complete we're able to provide a mid-year update for you. And some of them, they are in progress and we don't have that data yet. I wanted to just mention that an added challenge for us this year is that we are piloting a new way of using our student information system, our PowerTeacher Pro. And so I did have some difficulty accessing data that normally was really easy for me to get. And so that's part of the learning process. And I've been assured I'll have what I need at the end of the school year. So with our expenditures as well, as I said in the beginning, I do feel like we're pretty much on track, which is very reassuring. Our funding is a little bit different. It's very different than our alternative education colleagues. We are a non-classroom based charter school. And so our funding is different and the spending part becomes really important. And so the mid-year, it forces me to look at how are we doing? And believe it or not, it can be really hard to spend money, right? To make sure it's all getting spent in the right places with whatever restrictions and limitations we have. And so I'm very proud of where we're at currently. Our goals are similar to alternative education. We have a goal directly tied to achievement. Our focus being that students will graduate with a high school diploma and demonstrate enhanced proficiency, particularly in fundamental skills, and also expand their post-secondary opportunities. So whether that be community college or a career training program, we really want to encourage our students to think about what is next. Our second goal is around student support. And again, making sure that we're providing opportunities for students to pursue those post-secondary opportunities or advance in the workforce. We have a transition specialist team that is directly supporting that effort. And then lastly, our third goal is around improving access and expanding services. And I think that over the last several years, we've done an excellent job. We've grown exponentially in student enrollment, and it just in the last couple of years. And the new building at 119 West Beach, I mean, we're already like sharing offices, and we're fully staffed. We hired a new teacher, particularly for CAC at Centro Avance. So it's all working really well. Some highlights for goal 1, and I do really appreciate this here as well. I don't know if you can see that student in the picture there, but the yellow stole says first generation. So first generation high school graduate for this student. Some of the highlights do include increased bilingual instructional support, something I'm very proud of, the amount of bilingual staff that we have in the CAC. I think it's somewhere around 75%. We hired 2 bilingual teachers this year, full-time. We have increased our FTE at our correctional facilities, specifically at Main Jail and Roundtree. We've increased our ESL course offerings, and we are in the midst of a PLC, which is a professional learning community implementation as a result of our WASC self-study. And that is teacher-driven, staff-led. I'm a part of it, but it's their initiative. And so that makes it authentic and real. Another highlight is that we presented at the CAPE, the California Adult Education Program, I think it's program conference in November as a model program for an onboarding orientation class that we've developed. Some changes, we've had a notable increase in our ADA, increased bilingual instructional support staff, and we do have a couple of classified staff vacancies that have been difficult to fill. And so that's where some of that, making sure we're spending the money. So we have one vacancy, actually, we just filled. The person will be starting in March. Goal 2 around student support. These are students in our cooking class at Sequoia Schools. Some of the highlights are we're offering that foundations class, the onboarding and orientation at both Centro Avance and Sequoia Schools. We have a new class this year, a digital and financial literacy that started at the semester. We are offering different class opportunities with our Prop 28 money. And we have a full-time this year, first year mental health counselor assigned to CAC. And we are proud of the number of co-enrolled students that we have attending Cabrillo College and or in our CTE programs. We also added a construction tech class at Sequoia for CAC students on Thursday nights. It's been very well attended. That was in partnership and asked through adult probation. Our last goal around improving access. This is a picture of that class, the foundations class. Some of the highlights include increased enrollment, the student onboarding, really set up for student retention. So wanting the students to make their way through the door and then stay. And close partnerships with COE departments, working closely with alternative education, the student services department, et cetera. I'm very proud of that. Some of the changes, we've changed how we track data to an internal method. We're no longer using Community Pro. That was an adult ed consortium initiative that has changed. I mentioned our Power School project. That's been quite an endeavor, and increased staff involvement for students in corrections. So adding teacher, we've needed to add some support staff as well. So what I have here is the update on spending. So you can see our total funds that were adopted and how much we've spent there, 1.6 million roughly. We don't get very much money for our supplemental. We only get supplemental, not concentration. And you can see we're almost exactly at the halfway mark there. This concludes my presentation. I want to thank you for your ongoing support, and I'm happy to answer any questions or hear any comments that you might have.
That's really one of your graduates.
Yeah.
That was a great graduation. Yes.
I also wanted to say thank you to the trustees. So for so many of you making it to our graduations in January, and yeah, they were. This was one of our larger ones. I think we had around 45 students. So yeah, a really wonderful event.
I'll leave it open to the trustees if there's any questions. Follow up.
Maybe, I guess it's a comment, but trying to look at the expenditures and seeing like how that is measured in terms of like success. And I guess the way that I see it, I don't know if it's different or how you guys see it, but that is maybe like a minimum of what we at least want to spend on a specific line item. So for instance, I'm looking at 3.5 actions and measures of goal 3. It talks about student outreach. The CAC program works closely with district partners, community agencies, local community college support to promote the CAC program. I think budgeted we have 12,000 and we actually spent 20,000. So to me, it's like, okay, we're going above and beyond what we had expected. So to me, I think I see that as a success, right? Is that a good way of looking at it?
If I'll answer, and then if anybody else wants to jump in, I would say yes. I think, as Jen mentioned, that some of this will need to be adjusted. And so spending the money where we see the need being is what I think you're alluding to there. And not all of the expenditures match up right at exactly the midway point. I mean, we are over in some areas and then under in some. And so, yes, I hear what you're saying, and I think that it is evidence of doing that work.
Purchasing instructional materials, 64,000 versus like a 50,000 budget, like that's good. That's what we want, right?
Right.
We want
And we're
our students to have
we're
material.
exactly, and we're using, because our enrollment in ADA has grown, we need more materials. And so, and that's also been a push from me with the staff of like, I want our students to have the nice consumable workbooks if that's what they want, making sure we have enough licenses for our online curriculum, et cetera. So some of those costs have gone up because of enrollment going up, for sure. Yeah.
Okay, that makes sense. Thank you.
Thank you.
If I could just add something, I also think this also highlights the collaborative nature of the work that we do that Sony mentioned earlier. We're working in collaboration with our business services department and all our departments to adapt our programs. Our budget is our best guess at how things are going to look. And things change. In some cases, that there could be an increase in needed resources, and so we do our best to adapt and not let kind of that process slow us down from being able to deliver those services.
And that seems to result in some of the increased enrollment where you're almost at your goal mid-year. So obviously some of those other expenses will increase.
Right.
And so the ratio makes sense. So
Yeah.
congratulations on that.
Thank you. Thank you, Trustee Williams.
And actually following up on that, just the ADA going up so much and the enrollment kind of on track, hopefully towards year end. The ADA is through the outreach and having the central available. What do you attribute that to?
That's a great question. I think I have a theory that definitely we're still feeling the impacts of the pandemic. And so we have increased in the 18 to 24 demographic. So we have more younger students for us because we do have students into their 60s. So we've seen an increase in young adults for one. And then we have a great reputation, and we have a great team of people who, when they meet the student at the front door, it's really about how can we help you? And so we hear that from our students that, they've had experiences elsewhere and they come here and they feel seen, they feel supported, they feel like nunca es tarde, like maybe I can do it here. And so I think all of those things combined, this really, I don't know, customer service isn't the right word, I guess student-centered, this approach of really meeting people where they are and offering that second, third, 10th chance.
And there's so much I was pleased with, as I saw when we toured, just thank you for that tour this year, and going to the graduations is always inspiring. Having the child care for the programs, I think, is essential, and you called that out in your report. Having the strong bilingual staff that you mentioned, that's also in the LCAP, is great. The area that it looks like you're focusing in is the career technical. I mean, adding the construction trades and some of that's kind of the only metrics that look like you're trying to move further along.
Right.
And so that's great.
Yes, thank you. And we have been focused on also the co-enrollment to our medical and dental assisting programs for CAC students. And we're looking at a possible certified nursing assistant program that would also be another opportunity for our CAC students. So yes, trying to bring more opportunities to them. And I'll just add that this week, I don't think I even shared this with Ferris, he knew that we were planning, our dental assisting students had class at Centro Avance for the first time on Tuesday.
Oh.
So we had our 12 traditional pathway students show up, and our apprentices will be there next week. And so the classroom looks beautiful. Big shout out to M&O for their support and business. It's a group effort. It takes us all. So yeah, very proud of that too. And proud to have more services available in South County.
I was at that graduation, and one of the things I absolutely adored was how family oriented it was, but also the children, and there were babies, and they were also respectful. Even the little guys. And I think this is a beautiful presentation of this program to everyone who is there, and that will be transmitted out into the even more.
Absolutely. Thank you, Trustee Roth. We also have a QR code on the back of our graduation program. So for people who are interested, have a family member so they can sign up, do an interest form right there at graduation. So, yeah. You're right. That was unusual. We had many student speakers that evening. Yeah, I forgot about that. Yeah, absolutely.
Any other follow-up questions?
My perception, I don't have numbers on it, is that a lot of the increase is word of mouth. It's people telling other people about how great it's been, or people hearing about it, or maybe having a friend or a relative go through it and realizing it's not too late.
Yeah, absolutely. I mean, we do go to the career fairs. We'll do partnership events with Cabrillo, with the Adult Ed Consortium. I wouldn't say that we do a great job of advertising. I think it really is word of mouth. And then, of course, our students in corrections make up about 60 students of our total student body. I also work in alternative education, and I often say, we don't advertise, right? And we're always full. So I do think it is a commentary on the great work that we do.
If I could add to that, I would have to agree that, we don't spend a lot of time on the outreach component because we've been so successful because of that word of mouth. And people find us because of that experience and the reputation that Sonia mentioned earlier. So it's been very, very positive that way. And also, I do want to point out that we recognize that there's also tens of thousands of people in the community who do not have their high school diploma and who can benefit from a program like this. And so we want to continue making these opportunities accessible to more and more people. And so I think this program is providing a really safe, supportive environment and creating new opportunities for folks, and the need is great. And so it's been wonderful. And I'd have to say also for our alternative education program with the previous presentation, people come to us in many cases saying we'd like an alternative for our children. It's one of the reasons that program is one of the most successful programs in the state of California.
And I will say, Trustee Kyle and I were at this SoCal Unified School District meeting last night, and we were talking about the programs, and they said, well, share with us a program that sticks out with you. And I brought up CAC and the wonderful graduation and the experience that we had with, the range of students that were going to the program and graduating. And I think there was a comment that's like, yeah, it's a great program. It's never too late. So I just thought it was, apropos. And so we're out there advertising for you. We're marketing for you.
That's great. Thank you.
Amor, Trustee Moore.
I have a question that I don't know if you're able to answer. It's kind of about the last presentation we had about our supplemental food and clothing money that we have to spend. From what I've heard from my classmates, the people at El Nido, there is a big difficulty with the food that is being given there. A lot of people aren't that interested in it or not liking it, or there's, especially for people that are lactose intolerant, they're not able to eat anything. And so I'm wondering if it'd be possible for us to talk to our students that are in our alt ed programs about what they do like for the food, because I know there's been a lot of food waste, and I think there's something we should do about that.
Yeah, I can try to answer that. And yes, it was from the last presentation. As I mentioned, I also am part of alternative education, and I would be happy to have more conversation about that. I think that a student advisory committee would be a great idea for Centro and include students from Escuela Quetzal as well as El Nido and get their input. As we talked a lot about the lunches, we do provide a warm free meal daily to students, and sometimes it's not what one would want to eat, right? Or prefer. And so we do have supplemental options, and I'd be happy to set something up where we could talk about that further.
Thank
Okay.
you.
Yeah, of course.
Following up on, oh, somebody first? Okay. Following up on what Superintendent Sabah mentioned about the 40,000, I think it is, people in the county who don't have their high school diplomas. The first time I heard that number kind of shocked me, was at a meeting with some state officials, and the state officer was sharing how, rapidly growing need because of the aging of the population, thanks to me and a couple others up here, is for healthcare being provided at all levels. And so I was ecstatic to learn about your medical and dental assisting program and how that strong that is. And you mentioned tonight going into, I believe it was a certified nursing program, kind of the next step up. What I did hear this officer talk about was just not having enough IHSS, in-home social and medical service staff. And I just think about that being an opportunity, not just going up, but making sure we're providing the broad range, so much so that the state's looking at taking over the statewide bargaining to ensure there's adequate compensation to engage people in that occupation, which I think maybe there's a need there that we could fill given the success of your other programs.
Right. Yeah.
If I could respond to that, I think that's the great point. And one of the highest demand positions right now are those in-home service providers. The challenge is that they currently pay minimum wage. And so we have a set of criteria that we look for when we develop our programs. And one of those is to try to get us to help create a program that can lead to something that could be family sustaining, a wage that is family sustaining. And so we try to steer away from helping folks get ready for minimum wage positions. But so we're excited about the possibilities that the state is going to look at increasing the wages for those positions. And because we could see that then as part of these stackable certificates that could lead to a high paying career. And we recognize that the need for in-home care is going to become more and more important as time goes on. Thank you for bringing that up.
Thank you.
Yes, Mr. Costa.
Thank you. I've heard nothing but great things about the program. So, you guys are doing a great job, your
Thank you.
team and all. I have a question with regards to the alternative career. I think that's great. Coming from South County and, growing up in a large ag community, have we thought about other programs that could be an impact, like automotive repair or food safety? I mean, food safety, quite honestly, just coming from that, it could be the basics of food safety. Some of these students could have just opportunities to present themselves.
Absolutely. Yes.
Question.
Yeah, no, I appreciate the question. So in our culinary class, students do have the opportunity to earn their food handlers. We also are doing that in our locked facility at Blaine Street. Those students also participate in the food handler certification. So that is one cert that we do offer. As Dr. Sabah mentioned, we look at building CTE programs where there's interest, where there's funding, and where there'll be a livable wage. And so some of these programs, unfortunately, are very expensive, like auto repair is something that requires a lot of equipment. However, we definitely have different resources to inform us about what might be something that we can build. Like, so right now our big focus really is on health careers. As Trustee Larson was just talking about, the demand is great. And so we look for occupations where there's high demand and then high interest and some money to match for the funding piece. So I think in terms of ag, we don't have, that hasn't been a strong focus for us right now, but certainly could be in the future. And looking at partnering with some of the larger industry partners in Watsonville to see how we might be able to work together. I don't know if you want to add anything, Ferris.
No, I think that, that criteria that we described, which is really looking at we look at the local data when it comes to what positions are available. And I do think that the ag sector offers a lot of exciting opportunities. Of course, we also look at what positions are available in the community that are paying at higher levels. The focus on healthcare has been kind of our area of focus right now. But I think we're definitely open to different kinds of positions. They manifest and meet the criteria that we look for when we're looking at creating.
And I only bring that up just coming from from the ag side. I know that, I'm sure there's somebody else from ag here, right? We sometimes dip into the colleges to look for people that maybe don't have experience, but have taken classes or have experience in ag, and they have internships. And some of these students that have internships wind up working for the larger companies.
Yeah.
So they get that step in the door, and they get the experience, and the opportunity just opens more doors for them. And maybe they're thinking about going to a university like Cal Poly. Possibly. And that I sense that we're just missing it just a little bit. That's all. I'm just putting it out there that we should entertain the thought, whatever that may. Collaborate with our community partners. There's a lot of community partners out there.
Absolutely.
Have all the we don't have to reinvent the wheel.
Right.
They have it all.
Yeah, and a lot of our students, adult students, do work in ag. I appreciate your input, and I think it's part of that commitment to having that growth mindset and being innovative and looking for those opportunities. Absolutely.
Speaking of the medical field, I think that definitely having your CPR certification is a great thing on your resume. You can really help people get hired. Would it maybe be possible to host a sort of course to help people get CPR certified? Because I think that'll definitely help with getting a job, in many places, especially like in childcare or something.
Absolutely. I do know that the county office offers CPR in several different venues. We also provide CPR in our building trades program, as well as our medical and dental assisting. But I know that we offer it too as a standalone through the county office, right?
That is correct. Yeah,
Okay.
our own the childcare team here that offers a CPR training that is available on weekends, I believe, and in Spanish. We can make sure to share that information.
Yeah. Yeah. We've offered them in Watsonville too.
Mhm.
Any other questions?
Any more questions, comments? Wonderful. Thank you so much again for your presentation.
Thank you all for your
both
support.
presentations. Thank you so much.
If not sooner.
All right, next we're going to go into item 10.3, eScribe Meeting Management Software Overview. And we'll hear from Dr. Sabah and the amazing, great, awesome Berenice Figueroa.
Yes, I'd like to introduce our presenter for tonight's presentation. Newly renamed Berenice Figueroa, who is going to be leading a training on this new software product that we're utilizing for our keeping us organized with our board meetings and ensuring, of course, compliance with the Brown Act and other requirements. And so we thought it was important to be able to present this information to you and to support you in your. So this is just a quick overview, and then we'll also be offering some additional in-person trainings if you would like them. Berenice?
Thank you, Dr. Sabah. It is an honor to now officially be presenting to all of you trustees in my 5 years in this role. This is the first time my name has been on the agenda as a presenter.
Yay.
So please be nice to me. Berenice Valentin has never presented, neither has Berenice Figueroa.
You told us they each have a hard question.
I know, I'm very scared. So, why we need a software. So again, I've been in this role for about 5 years, and I think the way that I've been doing board agenda and packet development has been the same even prior to me arriving to this position. And board agenda development has really been centered on Google Drive and Adobe Acrobat. And so it is not the most straightforward because you're using multiple different tools, it's different accounts, different folders. not straightforward for when other individuals want to step in to assist. Files can be misplaced, mislabeled, and just a mislabeling of a file can throw off the whole agenda. And so it is very time consuming. It's a very manual process. If any staff members come in with a last minute change to a report, it throws off the whole system for me and I have to start all over. So version control is very difficult. So for all of these reasons, we need a better system. And why not now? And so the goal of this new tool is to really centralize the board meeting packets. It improves transparency and accessibility, and I'll explain more about that on my upcoming slides. And it will definitely reduce the staff workload for myself and also make it easier for others individuals, such as my colleague Nick, to step in and to assist with the board development. Oh, I will add, sorry, before I go into there. Before we landed on eScribe, we did meet with many different vendors. I believe we met with 3 different companies that offer very similar software and board meeting management systems. And this is the one that made the most sense for our needs as a government nonprofit, as a government education agency. And so those meetings were involved myself, Ferris, and our Nick, and then our Chief Technology Officer, Jason. So this is the one that won all of our votes. And I believe Abel was actually a part of some of those when he was president. So eScribe is what we decided on. It is very focused for the government agency, so it's very has strong understandings of Brown Act, and its Brown Act compliance is built into the system. And so the high-level features are for meeting management, you're able to build agendas with templates. So I'm able to right away when I create a meeting, is this a special meeting, a regular board meeting? Is this a interdistrict transfer appeal, or is this a county committee on school redistricting? I'm able to select which one, and it creates that template outline straight for me. It allows for uploading documents. One issue with the Google Drive and Adobe Acrobat was that I was getting files sent to me as Google Docs or as PDFs or as PowerPoints, and then it's an extra step for me to convert them all into a PDF file the way that I need them. So with this new system, staff can send me documents in whichever format they want, and it will automatically create it into a PDF without me having to do that extra step. And so with one click, I'm able to create a packet, a board meeting packet through PDF or HTML. I will also add, because Vice President Larson gave kudos to the new meeting minutes, those were created through eScribe. And so as well as after board meeting minutes, I'm able to upload my quick little notes, and it rewrites it to be very pretty. And one click, I have meeting minutes. So makes that part very easy. This is for security and compliance, this is role-based access. So I'm able to create different accounts and make sure each account has access to what they need and not one has more access than the other. I'll go into roles a little later. Encrypted document storage is available on here, which becomes very important when we're doing interdistrict transfer appeals, so hosting student data. And then it has a retention and archive feature. So I'm able to also go back in there, and as well as you are all able to, go in there and search, like, when was the last time we brought in board policy 5125? And so you're able to search it, and it brings up that agenda packet and that agenda meeting. So it makes it very easy if you wanted to go back. For communication and collaboration, it allows for real-time updates. And this is one of my favorite features. So obviously the board agenda needs to be published and posted to the public and to the board 72 hours prior to the board meeting. However, some of the packet materials, such as resolutions, can be updated within those 72 hours as long as the public and the board receive it in a timely manner. So with real-time updates, I can lock it so that nobody can move the agenda at that time. However, for like if staff wanted to correct one of their LCAP media reports, they can do that themselves and update that document, and it sends a notification to you and to all the public that document was updated. Just that one document was updated. And that also allows them to upload their own slide decks. It is very hard to create slide decks very early in time because there's often little tweaks you want to make. Or if a trustee asks a question, you're like, well, now I want to include that in my slide deck. So they're able to also upload their slide decks earlier in the meeting. One feature that I think all of you will enjoy a lot is that there's commenting and question and answer options on this new program. And so it allows you to personally annotate the packets for your own needs. So you're able to highlight certain areas, flag certain pages, and only you are able to see those comments. So you're able to write, so as the meeting comes up, open up your eScribe account and go straight to that comment you flagged or that page that you highlighted to ask a question on. So it's all those notes are encrypted or are saved in your program. You're also able to assign tasks. So if, for example, working with the resolution committee, I can assign and be like, as a reminder, Trustee Kyle, you agreed to do this part of the resolution, so I'm just assigning you that task, and your deadline is this date. So you're able to assign tasks to trustees. You're able to assign tasks to staff as well. So I could assign Dr. Eisen Gonzalez, I need your slides. So it allows me to also send reminders that way. And then again, notifications and reminders are encrypted into the system. So I can still be sending you emails. However, you should be expecting emails in the future, all coming from eScribe. Oh wait, I used it clear. Okay, so I spoke a little to all this. So board member access, there is, you'll be able to have the whole board packet sent to you, and you'll able to see all the whole agenda as an entirety, but then you're able to select on each agenda item, the items of your interest, and the attachments will pop up on the side. So you no longer need to scroll through 200 and something pages. I believe this board packet was about 400 pages.
Or
So you know,
45.
yes. It was a lot. I know. And I used eScribe to create it, so I was very happy. I did not have to go through every single one of those pages as well.
Speaking of which, having the page numbers here.
Yes.
It wasn't until I was halfway through the agenda because since joining the board, I was always the page number in the left with the circle so I could find it.
And
then
eScribe did
wait,
that.
It's already there.
Yes, eScribe did that. So eScribe is making my life easier and is clearly making yours easier as well. So you're able to select the agenda item agenda item that holds interest to you, and the attachments pop up right on the side. You don't get to even lose your place. It's on the side. It opens up a brand new window. Again, as I shared, you're able to annotate your own items, real-time updating, and you're able to access this program on your laptop or on your tablet. Unfortunately, it's not an app yet, but they are working on app development, but you would be able to open it up on a Safari or a Google Chrome browser on your tablet. So before I go on to when a meeting is posted, I just want to review some terminology that eScribe uses. So there are participants, and that is what all of you are as the board members and student trustees are considered participants. There's contributors, which are COE staff who prepare board materials and board reports. And then there's subscribed visitors. So this is a unique feature where if there's anybody from the public, so for all of our fans, if they would like to subscribe to our board meetings. So meaning as soon as I publish a board meeting, you'll get an email such as the screenshot attached saying a scribe meeting, the date, and that the materials are available. So all the participants will get that, all the contributors will get that, and all of our fans, the subscribed visitors will get those as well. So it's a direct email notification. For the non-subscribed individuals, the packet is still available. They just don't get an email. So they can go to our website, and I linked it there, or I wrote the whole URL there so the public can see. And so it's a calendar we've embedded onto our website, and that's a screenshot of it where it shows all the upcoming meetings. So, and this is in list format. We can do it in multiple formats. Another format is calendar formatting. And you can see if there's, sorry, the screenshot's a little small. But at the top, there is the agenda PDF link, agenda full package as an HTML and as a PDF. I will go over all of this in the individual board trainings, but this is just kind of like an overview of what the public can see. Excuse me. HTML is my recommendation for the public, and it's the one I'll be highlighting and sharing more with the public. However, PDFs are still available for anybody that does request them. It does make printing a lot easier for anyone that does like to print them. And it also would, all the PDFs are, oh my gosh, I can't think of the word right now, have passed accessibility checks. So implementation timeline. So from now until ongoing, We will be doing staff and board trainings all up before the March 19th board meeting. Those will be trainings of no more than 3 trustees, including myself, and then a tech member will be there for extra support. For the March 2026 meeting, I will be providing their packet fully through eScribe, and I will be sending you notifications through eScribe. So that's going to be a new change. I will send you an email to just let you know I did send it through eScribe just for this beginning part, just that flags into the system. And then something I had not mentioned is that eScribe has a live stream feature. We have not going live with it yet. It does require a lot of work on tech's part because it would be involved installing a new driver and a new software system and embedding that into our Zoom that we currently have. But what's unique about their live stream feature is that it will begin to timestamp the board meeting with our board agenda. So even making it more transparent, increasing our transparency and making it more easy, or make it easier for the public to follow along. So if they only had interest in listening to this one resolution, they can go to that page, they'll see it right there, and they'll also be able to click the timestamp to go straight to that item. So it's a very new feature that we're very excited about. It also allows for subtitles, but we're planning on implementation in fall/winter, just probably when I come back. We'll be adding that. And then also in the timeline, we will be adding the Personnel Commission into this program as well. That's our board or Brown Act compliant group through HR. And so they'll be getting added into the system as well. So supports offered throughout this whole process is every single week since November. We've been meeting, myself, Nick, and Jason, with eScribe staff weekly, for about 30 minutes every week, just touching base, checking up on the system, answering any questions. So honestly, at this point, I feel very well versed in the whole eScribe process. I've had a lot of hand holding throughout this process, more than I've been used to when learning new tech, to the point where the staff members have been very surprised by how quickly Jason, myself, and Nick can implement the new system. So that's been great. They offer a lot of quick reference guides. There is a help desk available. And then there is, if you'd like more additional trainings, an eScribe Academy training. It's very similar to like a Keenan-based model, where you're able to just click through different modules, and they quiz you at the end to make sure you're following pace. So what I need from the board, I will need you to confirm your account access and log in before March's meeting so that I know it's all working. I would like you, I'm going to say optional because I don't really want to force you to do anything, participate in an onboarding training with myself. I'll send you a schedule of potential options next week for potential meeting dates in March. And then, of course, always provide your feedback throughout this whole process. This is a learning experience for all of us. And so any feedback or any thoughts you have, feel free to share them with me. And as I said, I meet with the eStaff team weekly. So anything that you're seeing that's coming up as an issue, I can always ask them, and they can always customize different parts of the features for us. And that's all I have. Thank you.
Thank you very much. I think we should have made you stand at the podium. I'm just kidding. I'm just kidding. I'm going to open it up to any questions, comments.
You mentioned the ability for, I guess, board members, maybe others, to put comments by particular agenda items. They're encrypted, that no one else can see them. So that would prevent us from a Brown Act, serial committee thing where people see it with all the comments. But what is the status of those comments as far as the public record goes? Because I know there are some things where if I have correspondence, with you or with Ferris, that's public record. My emails are public record. Maybe you don't know right now, but it'd be good to know if I make comments, especially if I make some snide comment that I regret later. Is that going to show up somewhere? Or is someone else going to have access to it?
So I believe that those kinds of comments are kind of like your written notes there. Those are not official documents. They're your notes. And so they are not part of the formal record. Correct. And like if you were to write notes on your agenda right now, those would be considered personal notes that are not part of the are not considered required. Now, if you were to share that with somebody else, then it becomes more formalized. But the idea is that those are individualized notes for yourself only.
Then does this help us? We make very extensive use of Google Docs sheets. I'm on a trend of way out of that, although it's pretty hard because it's free and so many people use it. But does this remove some of that for us? And I don't know if you even share that goal, but
I would say probably not. This is really replacing the paper and PDF version of what you've been doing. And so, the only change could be those personal notes of yours that you can save onto that. But I don't think it's the collaborative work that we sometimes use, for example, on using Google Docs, that probably will continue. I don't see this as impacting that.
Trustee. Excellent presentation. Very well done. You had me at reduced staff workload. So I'm fully on board. And in fact, when I was going through your slide deck before the meeting, I am wondering how many school districts in the county have moved to something like this, if not specifically this, because I think you're a model and I would love to see if you're willing to help support other district admin assistants to tackle this. This is not your problem. This is a widespread issue that you maybe have done all of the research that they could benefit from and then be the lead on helping support other staff members in the county on this. I don't know if you have interest. You don't have to even respond. It's just an idea and I will throw out there.
Yes, I will share. There is a lot of variety across the district or across the county. There's other districts that use one program. We did look at board docs. We weren't a fan of that for our own reasons. I won't criticize the districts that use that. Other districts do also use CSBA's version of board meeting management systems. I believe it's Gamut. I can't quite recall that name, but we also did look at that one. And for other reasons as well, that one just didn't work for us. And then there are many that use the PDFs that I do.
Yeah. So we did, part of our process, one is it's a software product that you have to pay for. And so that's one of the limitations that would not make it transferable to another district unless they also decide to invest in this product. But part of I think our team was really thorough in looking at those different options. And I think that once you start using this, you're really going to like the interface is very simple and straightforward, and it's really done from a user point of view, whereas some of the other ones just seem much more cumbersome. And so I think when we share it, one of the things that we're going to be sharing this with our SECA board, which is our special education board, and all the superintendents sit on that, and they're going to get access to this. And so I think once they take a look at this, they're going to realize this is probably, and in many cases, this was more affordable than the ones that they have invested in. And so possible with the next budget, they may consider switching over, and we'd be happy to provide support for them.
Trustee Van Allen asked one of my questions. The archive feature, I hadn't picked up when I went through the PowerPoint until you talked about it. Are we going to be uploading a couple of years worth of documents so that they're searchable in there, or will this be building the searchability going forward? I just don't know the capability or the value, and the workload involved with it.
Yeah, I've only been planning to keep starting now and moving forward. I think I have everything dating as far back as 2017 already on the Google Drive. So that's already a pretty good archive. Prior to that, it is paperwork.
Mostly I was thinking for the committee I used to be on, the policy and legislative, seeing, well, what did we do with this resolution 3 years ago? That'll be going to the Google Drive or staff instead of through this system. And I totally understand that workload management, not trying to upload all the historic stuff, but it was just a question. You brought up the superintendent's group. I was wondering about, is the North County SELPA CAC, whatever, is that Brown Actable? When I see their agenda, it seems like it is.
I believe so, yeah,
So that might be another one after the
that would be,
Personnel
that would be
Committee.
another one. Yeah, so the SECA is the special education, that is a Brown
That is
Act.
that,
And that we do utilize, I believe they just use PDFs currently.
Correct.
And so we're going to get them on board with this as well.
Then the last one's a little bit facetious, but since he's here in the audience and is at every meeting, I don't know if you've started assigning subscriber numbers, but maybe number one could be Shalak.
I haven't, but I will definitely put
He has
them on our
earned it.
subscriber visitors.
He's earned it.
He's earned it.
The caveat with that is they have to opt in. I can't opt them in myself.
That's actually a question. Is it our COE login that works for eScribe, or are you going to send us a new?
Oh, correct. Yes. Thank you for the question. It is your Santa Cruz COE login, which is why during our onboarding, I'll have staff there, because you will need to log in through your Microsoft account, because they did a big upload of everyone's emails and make sure that those emails sync in with your passwords sync in with your email password. So it's all one password.
Like Teams or something?
Yes, team. So it all follows in with one password. So every time you change your email password, your eScribe password will change with it automatically. So they did a lot of background work. I'm sorry, this is beyond my knowledge. A lot of background work with the eScribe tech. So that's why if there's any problems logging in, I will have tech there for the trainings.
Thank you. That's really great. I got a little taste of it because Dr. Spa sent me a link. So I was doing some of it, just kind of following along. And I think it's going to be really beneficial for all of us. Thank you for all of the background work. I know what it goes into researching, testing, implementing, training new software. It can be very arduous. And so thank you for all of that. Your presentation was great. As far as getting some of our older archives, even maybe 12 months back, getting it uploaded might be very beneficial. I was just thinking about it because in one of our 11.1, when it came to the resolution 2605, we were trying to think, well, I know we talked about it. We had originally discussed that this was coming up, and we approved for them to move forward and researching the loan and so forth. And that would have been a great thing to like, oh yeah, this is the last time we kind of looked it up. So if we haven't started thinking about that, I think that it might be a really great benefit for it. Likewise for policies and other things that we might need little refreshers on. Thank you. Any other questions, comments? We're excited.
It's great.
We're excited.
And congratulations on your first presentation, Mrs. Figueroa.
Thank you. Thank you. The baby was kicking me throughout this presentation, so I was trying to keep it cool.
And for the days.
Yeah.
That's right.
Oh my goodness. All right. Well, we're up at 11.2 and I'm feeling bad because we probably should have combined it with 11.1, but 11.2 resolution 2605 with Michelle Kennedy and Dr. Sabah.
Yes, we should have combined them. I also saw that and apologies, Michelle, for that. But this is another aspect of the same process for the SoCal High School project. And Michelle has some information about this resolution.
Yes, thank you. 11.1 was great. Joe Crump was coming in from San Francisco, so he generally appreciated being able to go back earlier. So thank you so much. And this one's on me. So I'm here till the end every time. So I'm good. I want to do Birdwalk for 1 second because the comment being made, the never ending story. I've been in school education for over 30 years. And the first thing that popped into my head was the movie Notting Hill, where Hugh Grant is walking through the farmer's market when the seasons change. That's, I think, how we all feel in finance. We pass through the seasons as they come and they go, and we do them over and over again. But every year we learn something new. So I just really appreciate our industry. We were just in a training the other day where I told Melissa, I've been doing attendance since the day I started school finance and I learned something new. So every day. So this I'm bringing to the board. This is our official leaseback agreement. If we go back a little bit and start at the beginning of our SoCal High project with our new SPED classrooms, the first step in the process was coming to an agreement on a 42-year loan with Santa Cruz City Schools. So that first step began with us releasing the portables that are on Swift Street, and that was brought to the board at our last board meeting. With that, Santa Cruz City Schools was able to enter into a lease agreement with us that they took to their board already, and their board president has signed and is now with us. So with that in place, we technically can enter into a lease back is what it is called, because we are leasing the property from Santa Cruz City Schools, and we are going to lease it back to the construction company that we are going to enter into. And it's a method of construction widely used and that's how it is referred to as lease back, or LLB. With that, we're using the guaranteed maximum price. So it's a negotiated price as we work through this process. So we have chosen Asonio as our construction company that we are moving forward with. We went in, we had our RFP that was published back in October. We had a mandatory walkthrough of the site at Santa Cruz City Schools, SoCal High. We had 14 people show up from 8 different companies. We had in the end 5 different companies that put in a bid. We then narrowed that down. When I say we, I mean retired Deputy Superintendent Reyes, myself, Shay from our business department, and Brian from our M&O department, our coordinator of M&O. We looked at all of the proposals. We weighed out all of the options and all of the information they put in their RFPs, which is a request for information or a request for proposal. We then narrowed that down to 2, Kent Construction and Asonio Construction. We then asked them to come in and give a presentation, each of the companies, to us and our architect, Ralph LaRue, was stacked. We then rated each of the companies based on all of the information that they presented and in the presentation that they gave to us for their proposal. And in the end, we decided to go with Asonio based on all of the information that we received from them. We feel that they are the best fit for this project and to work with. So I'm really excited. They are not a company I've worked with in the past. Just as a side note, we had Santa Cruz Builders, JLC, and McGuire Hester were the 3 other larger construction companies that we received proposals from. And so with all of that, we followed this process. And for that next step to begin, as we asked the board to approve the resolution for our COPS loan, for our financing loan, now that that is in place, that leads us to be able to enter into contract with Asonio so that they can begin the process of bringing in our subs and the actual modular company. They are not the modular company, just for clarification for the board. Some of these companies do both. This particular company is the general manager or construction company, and they bring in our subs and they manage them through this process because they become the leaseholder as the leaseback dictates. So this is what I'm bringing forward to the board to pass this resolution so we can enter into contract and begin negotiations. Do I have any questions?
Questions from the board? No?
Just so you know, we read. I saw the 90 out of 100 points, and then later on you provide the detail of where 8 of those points came out of the price points. And so that led me to wonder, how far was number 2? Were they 89 or were they down at 80? Was this a close call or an easy call?
No, this was a very close call. We, as I said, the 6 of us interviewed both candidates. We had discussion amongst the 6 of us, and then it was discussion amongst myself, Leanne, and Ralph LaRue to go over the components and what we are looking for each of the levels that we're grading them on. And then ultimately it came down to Leanne and I to make the final decision. Mainly I say Leanne and I specifically because Leanne was retiring and this project was going to be my baby. And so we wanted to make sure we were all on the same page. And so giving them the final rating at that time, but it was a very close. They both made really good presentations. They both are strong companies. They come with a great background in this county and in Monterey and San Benito County. So in the end, like I said, they just were a better fit for our project.
In both general contractors, meaning that they weren't doing the you said the modular units, and so they were both general contractors.
Yes, they both, only one of the five, I believe, JLC,
Mm.
they are, and I have worked with them in the past, they are a modular, they are JLM and JLC. They have a modular component to their higher project. They are just a different model. They each have very different models.
Thank you. There are no more questions. Can I get a motion? Larson? We'll give it to Sue and we'll do a roll call.
Student trustee Guillen Martinez,
Aye.
student trustee Amor,
Aye.
trustee Acosta,
Aye.
trustee Kyle,
Aye.
vice president Larson,
Aye.
trustee Roth,
Yes.
trustee Sanchez,
Yes.
trustee Van Allen,
Aye.
president Williams.
Yes. And the motion passes. Congratulations.
Thank you.
All righty, thank you. All right, so we are going to go into some board policies. We have a couple of first readings. The first reading is 11.3 in the 1000 series relating to community relations. We are presenting this as a first and second reading if we do not have any objections. And do you have anything to add, Chair?
Not really, actually. I mean, unless people have particular questions about these, in particular, these two on this agenda item. We are improving privacy and security, and we're taking a pretty strong step in relation to immigration. Blocking, basically.
Thank you. Are there any questions, comments on the, yes? Oh, BP 1340 or 1445? If not, may I get a motion? Second? Okay, Kyle, trustee Kyle, and a roll call. Oh, and we're going to do, yeah, voice vote. So all in favor?
Aye.
Abstain? Oppose? Passes unanimously. Thank you. The next one, 11.4, is 5000 series regarding students. This is BP 5125 and 5125.1, presenting as a first and second reading. Anything to add?
Again, I think these are fairly clear what they are. There's also a third policy here that we are proposing to delete because it's become obsolete and was replaced by some more recent ones. That's on the next page, 5145.13.
Correct. Thank you. Thank you for that clarification. Are there any questions regarding the two that we are doing a first and second reading, 5125 and 5125.1? Trustee Larson, I'm sorry, trustee Kyle.
Question on BP 5125, top of page 412, in reference to social media. I'm just wondering, and I'm guessing the language probably came from CSBA or someplace, but the first line says information from the social media of any COE student may be gathered and maintained. Would it be appropriate to add public social media profile? Because I don't know that they can get private information, but I think we'd want to clarify that we're not allowing any information to be gathered that's only on their private sites.
Let me see here. Information from social media, COE student may be gathered and maintained, provided that the student parents are first notified about the proposed program. I feel like the way that it's, the way that it's reading is just for the COE gathering the student information. I don't think we have access to their public. We're not gathering any of their, is that what you're asking?
Yeah, I just didn't know if we needed to call out public social media profile.
So somebody gives us a photocopy of a student's private page now in our possession. How do we control?
And that's a good point that I hadn't thought of. What if there is something that needs to be raised to attention that only was accessible through private?
This is really maintaining the data. I mean, whether or not they're sharing, it's not necessarily that we're going to collect that as a data point. If they're sharing it as a point of concern.
So if I may, so this is, it references Education Code 49073.6, and I'm looking at and so that education code defines social media as an electronic service or account or electronic content, including but not limited to videos, still photographs, blogs, video blogs, podcasts, instant text messages, email, online services, or accounts or internet website profiles or locations. So that's the education code and that this is referencing. So we wouldn't want to make a distinction in our policy between public or private. We would want to stick with what the education
With
code
the
is.
ed code, yeah. Okay,
Okay, makes sense.
great. Thank you for clarifying.
It's a great question. Thank you. And thank you for the follow-up. Any other questions or concerns on any of one of those policies? No? Okay, great. Can I get a motion? First, Kyle and it's a good fellow. Thank you. All right. All those in favor?
Aye.
Oppose? Abstain? Motion passes. Thank you.
And to clarify, this is for first and second.
This is first and second.
Thank you.
Alrighty, thank you for doing that. Okay, so we have a second reading on our board policy 11, okay. Item 11.5, second reading, board policies. This is for BP 5145.3. This is a second reading and is referenced in above policies. Val Allen, do you have anything to add?
We had a lot of discussion about this, and I think Trustee Kyle would like to propose a amendment to it.
Okay, President Williams.
Yes,
jump in
no,
now?
we're
We're
open
just
for
all trying
comment.
to
We're open
find
for
it.
comment.
Okay.
We're open
Where
for
is
comment.
e-scribe? What do we need?
Sorry. We are open for comment.
My comment is on page 418. It's under application of restorative justice practices. My concern with the paragraph is that it reads as though it limits the application of restorative justice practices to only incidents of racist bullying, harassment, or intimidation. And so I would like to, without detracting from the emphasis on those incidents, I would like to propose adding a parenthetical comment right after that description I just gave, racist bullying, harassment, or intimidation, parentheses, or any circumstance described in paragraph 3 above.
Okay, and like Trustee Valen said, we've had a lot of discussion about this. So everything, just so that everybody knows that everything that is highlighted in yellow in our policies are those that are recommended by CSBA. It also, that paragraph is being referenced to also another education code. So we'd have to go back and read that to see if if we divert from it, if it affects that in any way. We can also go back to CSBA and say, is there a reason why it is not all inclusive with other forms of harassment that we would require or offer restorative practices? So your request is being that if we can change it or add to it, do we have anything that we can add for the education code?
Yeah, I'm looking at the education. Could you repeat the request? You'd like to modify it from what to what?
So inserting a parenthetical comment after the phrase racist bullying, harassment, or intimidation before the comma and the school administrator. So in
the
between.
paragraph that has the title, application of restorative.
Yeah.
Right, the first percent.
So she's looking.
So
at
in between
adding
intimidation and comma would be
parentheses.
or any circumstance described in paragraph 3 above, is where we talk about all the different incidents of discrimination, harassment, and bullying.
Since it's a may engage, I think that would be fine, and because that goes above and beyond the education code, and so I think that would be appropriate and something we would be able to implement effectively.
Okay, so in essence, it would be that our administration would offer restorative practices in any one of those instances.
Or have the option to.
Or have the option to.
Mhm.
All right, well, I like it and it meets the need and exceeds our needs. And so can I get a first?
Move.
Second.
Second of Trustee Moore. And we will do a verbal, all in favor?
Aye.
Any opposed? Any abstain? Wonderful, thank you. Passes. Excellent. All right. And so now we will go into item 11.6 CSBA 9A Delegate Assembly Ballot. And it says I'm the presenter, so I'm just going to read through this. CSBA Delegate Assembly serves as a key government body that ensures the association reflects the interests of our school districts and our Office of Education. We are enclosed and attached was a ballot of materials included for a candidate and includes the biographical information on the one candidate that would represent our District 9, I believe. If there is anyone that knows this individual would like to add some information, if there is any comments, questions, but basically we would be making a motion to support the candidate listed or have a motion of supporting the listed candidate.
So moved.
Wow.
That was enthusiastic. I hope he doesn't see that.
Do we have a second?
I'll say.
All right.
Sure.
Sure. Trustee Roth. All right. All those in favor?
Aye.
Oppose? That's all right. Oppose, abstain, motion passes. Thank you. All right. 11.7 Resolution 2606, recognizing March as Disability Awareness Month. And Trustee Van Allen.
We have a lot of socially related resolutions today. And so one of the areas that our office and our board and our school system has, I think, done a lot of good work on is providing for people with disabilities. And this kind of recognizes that and brings it out to the public as a concern.
I will make a motion to support. And we have a roll call vote, please. Did you have a question?
I have a comment about this. I think this is a very important sort of resolution, and I'm wondering if there's any way we can include in sort of the send out that we do for the community with Dr. Ferris Sabah, sort of information about IEPs and 504 plans, because I think a lot of parents and students don't know about IEPs and 504 plans, or the fact that they are able to get an IEP or a 504 plan. I know a lot of times it's very difficult to try and get that. And so I think awareness about like what they are and what they can help a student with and like how they can get one could be good to highlight during this month.
I'm trying to think about how we would do that. We would definitely be sending out information about with our newsletter with the Disability Awareness Month. And maybe we could add links to information about that. I think that's because there is always opportunities for families to know more about. So I think we'll work on that. Thank you.
And perhaps just adding on, because it's a really great point. Anytime we have resolutions, added, maybe those are ones that we share on our public social media with links to, maybe information that goes along with it. So at this point, we'll do a roll call.
Student Trustee Guillen Martinez. Student Trustee Amor.
Aye.
Trustee Acosta.
Aye.
Trustee Kyle.
Aye.
Vice President Larson.
Aye.
Trustee Roth.
Yes.
Trustee Sanchez.
Yes.
Trustee Van Allen.
Aye.
President Williams.
Yes. Motion passes. Thank you very much. Item 11.8, Resolution 2607, recognizing March as Women's History Month. Trustee Van Allen.
Trustees, this was one that we've done before, and the draft we started with was pretty much the same as what we've had in past years. But both Trustee Kyle and I didn't feel that it really reflects today's circumstance. And so I give it some thought. And so some of those early paragraphs did not appear in previous ones. And I hope it's okay with everybody, but I actually tried to make it do within, staying within format of resolution. So I hope it's okay. And to me, it's really important. It's part of my lifetime has been supporting that change. So it's just important.
I recall the one from last year, and so I did notice that there were some changes and appreciate the extra effort in making it relevant to our current times. So thank you both. All right, can we get a motion? You want a motion? Trustee Moore, second, and Trustee Kyle for a second, and a roll call, please.
Student trustee Guillen Martinez, student trustee Amor,
Aye.
trustee Acosta, trustee Kyle,
Aye.
Vice President Larson,
Aye.
trustee Roth,
Yes.
trustee Sanchez,
Yes.
trustee Van Allen, President Williams.
Yes, and resolution passes. All right, item 11.9, resolution 2608, recognizing March as Arts Education Month. Trustee Van Allen.
We were given a draft from the state and it had a big focus on the state, so we kind of reworked it to focus more on local. And again, this is so important. And the COE has pretty much been there with the arts. I mean, the money hasn't always been there, but our commitment to it for a long time. And I would recommend approval.
Comment, I just wanted to say thanks to the committee and staff for bringing it forward. I'll second.
Student trustee Guillen Martinez, student trustee Amor,
Aye.
trustee Acosta,
Aye.
trustee Kyle,
Aye.
Vice President Larson,
Aye.
trustee Roth,
Yes.
trustee Sanchez,
Yes.
trustee Van Allen, President Williams.
Yes. Item 1110, resolution 2609, prohibiting the use of Santa Cruz County Office of Education indoor and outdoor facilities and parking areas for any forms of civil immigration enforcement, staging, processing, or basis of operation. Thank you so much for this one.
This is the one that gets us put in jail. So I think
Thank you.
Yes.
I hope we can get a unanimous vote for it.
And that got added to the record as well. Thank you. Trustee Van Allen.
Thanks for putting it out there.
No, but to me, that our schools have got to be safe and they've got to be places that people want to come to get their education, to connect with their friends and to work. And that's just got to be absolute. We've got to take every step that we're allowed at our level of legal clout and so on to be able to do.
Well, I think it's definitely important to point out that one of our primary responsibilities is the safety of our students in school, a safe place, physically, emotionally, just being able to come to school and be ready to learn. And they can't do that if they're in fear. So whatever we can do to make them feel safe.
Two comments. One is I think you were going to make a change based on our conversation with Nick.
Oh, yeah, there is a.
Trustee Van Allen? Sorry.
Yes, Berenice has the change.
I have the language as well, but before we go on to with board discussion, we do have a public comment on this item.
Oh, okay.
So I will call up Shalak for a public comment.
Hi, guys. Thank you all. Thank you all. Thank you all for your service. You guys actually started to say a lot of the things that I wanted to come up here and say. For the record, I'm not representing anyone else but myself, and I have the honor and privilege of working with young people. And one of the things that come with that is being exposed to seeing the fear in their eyes and hearing stories as, what did you do over the weekend? What was your break like? I didn't leave the house. Hearing that when you want to go on field trips, that they don't want to take home the thing to get signed because even if they are American citizens or what have you, the melanin color in their skin, they have learned from the news. As we are old people, we have wisdom, but our young people are seeing this and are terrified. This resolution has to pass for the reasons you guys stated. This resolution lets our community know our schools are our safe places. It backs the walk up and lets them know that we will not let our schools be weaponized. So thank you so much for putting this resolution forward.
as a person who gets to work with our young people, it gives me another sense of pride in being able to support them when they are so terrified of what they see at the federal level. Thank you.
Thank you.
Thanks.
Thank you for those words.
So there's a proposal to change the opening paragraph. Bernice,
Okay,
do
let
you
me
have
see.
that? Are you able to project that up? Or?
Yes. I project it. Give me one moment. Yes, please.
This is an amendment which we're allowed.
All right. Perfect. So you can see here is a recommended language by Nick Ibarra for the first paragraph. I'll give you a moment to.
Could you read it out loud, please?
Yeah.
Oh, read it out loud. Oh, sorry. Whereas the Santa Cruz County Office of Education, Santa Cruz COE, is committed to maintaining safe, welcoming, and accessible learning and work environments for all students, families, and educators, regardless of race, ethnicity, immigration status, religion, political belief, and any recognized protected status.
Point of this change is that the original language refers to us as a part of the California education system, which didn't quite seem the right thing. for it. This is what we're doing. So,
Thank you.
I would like to propose that as an amendment.
Okay. Trustee Kyle, did you have a comment?
I have a question about the resolution, but I don't know point of order with the amendments.
We have an amendment. I have, motion. I will make a motion to accept the amendment.
So yours was about something else. Okay, then sure. Yeah.
Okay.
My question, I will be voting to support this resolution. My question is about enforcement. So Dr. Sabah, how do we enforce this resolution?
That's a great question. And actually, Trustee Moore asked me about the role of law enforcement. If ICE agents were to break the law, what would the role be of our local law enforcement? Because they're required to protect the rights of everybody, even if another law enforcement agency is violating those rights. And so when it comes to in enforcement, our understanding, first of all, is that if we were to be notified of the possibility that ICE was planning on utilizing, we would absolutely not give our permission, and we would contact local law enforcement to help protect our rights when it comes to if they choose to violate that. And utilize our facilities or resources. There is a point in there that that states that we will not interfere or obstruct, and that's the language that is utilized. If we do interfere or obstruct ICE agents, it is a felony to do so, and so we would follow our recourse through by contacting law enforcement and then utilize the courts to remedy any violations to this and any other laws that are broken.
I have an out, but it gets us so that none of our staff members say who want to block a door would then be subject to a felony.
Yeah, and this particular one is them legally utilizing the facilities versus entering in. Utilizing by staging and utilizing, so not necessarily entering the property. So were there any more comments?
This is a question, somewhere in my history of education, we are responsible, have been responsible for a student from coming from their home to school and school to home. Is that even thought about?
So that's absolutely true. We have local parentis for students from the moment they leave their homes, when they're under the care of their parents on their way to school and back. So, but this resolution is not related to that. It's really related to the utilization of our resources. The idea that ICE agents conducting an operation would utilize our parking lot to stage, to prepare for some sort of action. And this is a resolution stating affirmatively and clearly that we do not authorize that use, and that we find that to be a violation of our mission and our legal rights and that we are not going to allow them to do that.
But can I just throw that question in Hopper and you can think about it for later? I mean, is
What
there a
is the
way
question?
we could offer some, not protection per se, but come in saying that agents taking a child on their way home or coming to school, that we don't.
That is outside of this particular resolution though.
Yeah,
But
I realize that, but
Yeah.
I'm just saying,
It's a pass on.
might be a question.
Perhaps for a future discussion?
Yeah. Trustee Larson, did you have a question?
Trustee Moore first.
Trustee Moore?
Isn't that in the proposed policies BP 5145.13 response to immigration enforcement? I think it said something about including our transportation, stuff like that. Yeah, good catch.
So I believe that
You mean I guess I'm trying to understand. Do you have a comment, Trustee Moore, about?
I think what Trustee Roth is saying, like, it might have been mentioned in that, like, writing, because I was looking at it earlier. I think that
That is correct. And it was one of our previous policies for, I believe it is in the 145, but I'm not sure if it's the 0.3 where we do talk about transportation and the protections of students when they're on a bus or in transportation with, staff, that sort of thing.
But this
That's
is
not this.
yeah.
Right.
That is not this. So I want to finish discussing the
Fine,
resolution that
fine.
we have
It's just-
before of us.
I have a
So
question.
back on this, go
I
ahead.
have a question, kind
Yes.
of changing the topic. I don't know if we have the answer to this, but I believe immigration informs the local sheriffs or the local police department if they plan on being in the county or within the city. Is that true?
They're supposed to,
as
but
a courtesy.
is yet as a courtesy, but that is off the topic. I want to make sure we stay on topic with the resolution so we can pass it. But I wanted to make sure if there was any other comments regarding this. Trustee Larson.
I'm fully supportive of the resolution, just to start there. In fact, so supportive. I do believe there's another city in the county and maybe a school district that's already acted on similar policy statements. Given our countywide role, do we have a communication opportunity here to encourage other school districts to take similar actions? Because as if we're unanimous and all the school districts are unanimous, there's safety enforced in those numbers.
So yes, thank you for that, Trustee Larson. So the city of Watsonville has approved a resolution like this, and Cabrillo College has also approved a resolution like this. We are also currently working with the Board of Supervisors for them to consider an ordinance that would be kind of strengthen this resolution, that would also that in all jurisdictions in the county of Santa Cruz, that the Board of Supervisors would issue an ordinance that would not allow for the utilization of any government resources. In addition, we've also worked with all the district superintendents, and they have all shared that they would hope to move forward with similar resolutions. So I believe it would be appropriate for us to communicate if this resolution passes to all the school districts for consideration for their or the school boards for them to consider adopting similar resolutions.
And then, given that outreach is already underway, and following up on Trustee Sanchez's comment, it may be appropriate to inform the county and local law enforcement that if they're ever notified that ICE is coming to do something, they share those jurisdictions that have taken this action.
We'd be happy to do that.
So your request is that we communicate our resolution to local law enforcement so that they're knowledgeable about what our stances.
And
Got it.
encourage all of the partners to do the same. I don't think it's any
Correct.
change to the resolution. It's just a
Correct.
request.
Correct. Any other comments? Trustee
I just want
Vanella?
to say I would like to move resolution 26-09 prohibiting the use of Santa Cruz County Office of Education, et cetera. Excuse me, with the amendment as described earlier.
A second.
All right, first Van Ellen, second by Trustee Moore. And we'll have a roll call, please.
Student trustee Guillen Martinez.
Aye.
Student trustee Amor.
Aye.
Trustee Acosta.
Aye.
Trustee Kyle.
Aye.
Vice President Larson.
Aye.
Trustee Roth.
Yes.
Trustee Sanchez.
Yes.
Trustee Van Allen. President Williams.
Yes. All right. Motion passes. Thank you very much for the discussion and for passing unanimously. We'll move on to item 12, the superintendent's report.
Thank you so much, President Williams and members of the board. I would like to start off by thanking you for passing a resolution honoring and celebrating Black History Month, which we are in the month of February, and also to share our sadness with the passing of Reverend Jesse Jackson, who was such an important pioneer and who sacrificed so much for the civil rights movement. We continue to do a lot of work promoting our Black Student Union, and in addition to updating some information that I'll be sharing in a moment in terms of our racial justice and equity website and information that we're sharing with our community. But I wanted to start with that, and I think now more than ever, the importance of celebrating our African-American community, their contributions both nationally and locally. I feel I have to mention that the first county superintendent of schools was Michael Watkins, who was my mentor or is my mentor and preceded me in this position. And we sometimes it's good to have a resolution and a reminder, although we know that we celebrate and honor our community and our Black community specifically year-round. Thanks for allowing me to start with that. When it comes to national news, I did want to share with you that related to the resolution that you just passed, there currently is a partial government shutdown impacting the Department of Homeland Services, and they're currently working on or having discussions about approval for that, for those services. I wanted to thank you for considering and now approving the resolution to prohibit ICE from using our facilities. We continue to update our federal impacts website, which has a variety of different information, including tracking all immigration enforcement activities close to schools. There haven't been any verified activity on school campuses, even though there have been some alerts about that. However, we are tracking any mention of ICE activity for where families are going to drop off their children and where things have occurred that have impacted. And I have to share my my resonance with comments from Shalak Cabanas about the impact and the fear that this campaign against our community has had. One of the recent news that has come out of the federal government has been the approval of the discretionary budget, which included several items that we were concerned about not being approved. And now this list is most of the educational related funding, and I know it's a little bit small on the screen, but that includes Title I Part A, which is for students who qualify for free and reduced lunch. The good news is that in February, the federal administration stated they were going to be eliminating many of these programs, and they have funded all of them. So with some modest increases, that last column are those modest increases, but the difference between last year, which is, or this year really, fiscal year 2025, and then next year, which is fiscal year 2026, is either maintaining those funding sources or modest increases, which is welcome news for us, that there have not been reductions as we were heard were going to be occurring.
Included in there is the migrant education program, which was one of the first that was identified for cuts, and it is being fully funded for next year. Some additional updates. We received a visit from the BSCC, which is the bureau, the state bureau that oversees Prop 47 funding, which is what is funded our Ascend diversion program. This is the program that helps make sure that students who have any contact with law enforcement who are cited or arrested actually get an opportunity to be diverted into pro-social activities that will result in, once completed, they will not have any justice involvement. They will basically not have arrest on their record. And so we received a visit from the BSCC, and they were very pleased with what they were seeing. We have every law enforcement agency in the county participating in this program, including the state parks. And I mention them because they are actually issue a lot of citations to young people in our county. And it's so we're grateful to be partnering with them as well. And all these law enforcement agencies have been very grateful to have a off-ramp for young people so that they do not have this on their record or follow deeper into the justice system. I wanted to share with you that Nikki Barra, our Director of Communication, is receiving an award at the United Way Volunteer Champion Award. If you want to join us at the gala for United Way, we would encourage you to let Mrs. Figueroa know, and so that you could join us. I do believe we still have some spots open. All right, so please send an email to Berenice to be able to join us so we can honor Nikki for his accomplishments. And then right now, this very moment, at Semper Hall in Cabrillo College, Rishi Lal, who is the Director of School Safety, is receiving a Community Hero Award from the Sheriff's Office. And so it gives me great joy for our own team to be recognized for all the great work that they're doing, and it's you know, it's wonderful. We also have 2 students from our Black Student Union who are receiving Her Story Emerging Leaders Awards. And that is going to be taking place on March 6th, I believe, at the mall. And so we would love it for you to join us at that event coming up shortly. I wanted to share with you that if you haven't gone to our data portal, which is a data portal at santacruzcoe.org, all our 2025 data has been updated in there. And in addition, we have been updating our Racial Justice and Equity Initiative website. And I'm going to go ahead and click on that for you to, so that you could take a look at this website. This is one that we launched a few years ago. It has information about, you'll see here that it has interviews with local leaders of color, such as Elaine Johnson from the NAACP. We're currently working on a interview with Reggie Stevens, who is a local leader, and he's going to be. We're going to be adding his interview there. Included on this are culturally responsive resources. It's curriculum for African American students, Arab American students, Asian American, Indigenous peoples, Jewish American, Latinx students. So if you click on any of these links, it opens up many resources for instructional resources for teachers to be able to incorporate the stories and the impact of many of these groups in addition, we have a part here that we are going to be expanding, which is some videos produced by students and student resources that we're adding here. We're hoping that our student trustees who are working on their own projects will be able to post their projects on here as well once those are ready to go. But what I did want to share with you is a little bit about the outcomes. And I have some data that I would like to share with you. And I'm going to try to get a little closer here so that this is a little bit more visible. Not very visible. Well, I'm not sure how to well, I'll just talk through the data. This is the student assessment data for language arts, and each of these different lines with colors
is a different subgroup. So the top one are the performance on students in the language arts test, the state assessment, the CASP test. And the first line, that orange line, is the percentage of students who identify as Asian and their performance on having at or above the standard in language arts. And so the first line is for Asian students. The next line below that is for white students. The green line, which kind of goes downwards, is for Black or African-American students. The blue line is for American Indian, and the red line is for Hispanic or Latino or Latinx students. And we share this data because we want to acknowledge the reality that our students, the achievement gap continues to persist with all the hard work that we continue to provide and the services. We recognize that we hold ourselves accountable for the outcomes. And until our students are all performing at the highest levels consistently, we recognize we have a lot of work to do. When we look at our mathematics, you'll see a similar trend. And I encourage you to check out this data. We'll send you a link to it. And there's a summary on the left side as well. And similar Asian students, then followed by white students, then American Indian, Black students, and Hispanic students in that order. And so you'll see that, for example, in math, this is in mathematics, you'll see that for the average for our county was 17.5% for our Latino students, and compared to 53.2% at or above center for white students. And so clearly this achievement gap persists. And you see that we started tracking this data before the pandemic, and we continue to see that same achievement gap follow through. I also wanted to share data about our chronic absenteeism. And you will also notice that students from our Latino or Hispanic group are at about 21% are experiencing chronic absenteeism. That's when they miss 10% or more of school. And that's a fifth of our students, our Latino students are experiencing that. For our African-American students, the number is 19%. And compared to our white students at 14%. So again, an achievement gap there that persists, and missing 10% of your schooling is a whole month of school annually. You'll notice that there was a huge increase after the pandemic in 2021, 22, but we have not seen great reductions in there in most of our subgroups. We have seen it in our Latino group, it has dropped from 34% down to 21%, and for our American Indian students from 33% to 28%. But generally speaking, we continue to struggle with attendance for our students. And I did also want to share with you that looking at these bar charts, again, difficult to see on the screen, you'll notice that there has been, this is asking the question if they've felt chronic sadness or hopelessness in the last 12 months for over 2 weeks or more. And the bar charts are each a different year. So the red bar chart is the one that is for the most recent year, 2025. And you'll notice that the numbers of students that are stating that they have felt sad or hopeless for 2 weeks or more in the last year has decreased, meaning that there's less students who are sharing that they've had that experience, and that is welcome news. But we still have about a quarter of our students who are mentioning that they are experiencing that. When we look at students who have seriously considered suicide in the last 12 months, you'll notice that. And most of the data that is on this website is related to race and ethnicity. But if you look at this data from other demographic information, which you can do on our data portal, you'd also be able to see some other kinds of patterns. But looking at our students who have seriously considered suicide in the last 12 months, you'll notice that the number is highest for white students and American Indian students at 12%. Whereas our Asian students, 8%, Black students, 9%, Hispanic students at 9%, and Native Hawaiian Pacific Islander at 7%. And so still a very high number.
However, if you saw this data looking at students who identify as queer, the number is 3 to 4 times higher for that subgroup. So we see where we find this reduction in the number of students who are seriously considered suicide. This reduction is a very good thing and welcome news. And we're grateful for that. And we still recognize we have a lot of work to do. And the mental health crisis is still very real. And we need to continue to double our efforts to provide services and care for our most vulnerable students. All right, so I wanted so thank you for allowing me to share a little bit of information. You can check out this website at justice.santacruzcoe.org, or you could go to the data portal to just get way more data than you'd like, but it is up to date now with 2025 data. So we're really grateful to our technology and innovation team for updating all that information. I'd like to invite you to some exciting upcoming events. The Latino Role Models Conference is happening this Saturday at 9 a.m. at Cabrillo College. We also have a TK Pre-K Community Forum occurring next week on the 26th at Seascape Golf Course. We're excited to bring back the Civic Summit on February 27th, which is a week from Friday, from tomorrow. And so we would love it for you to be there and we're working in partnership with the county clerk to help encourage students to get civic engaged or engaged civically to help utilize one of the important ways of influencing our current state of affairs with their vote and their political action. The Her Story event on March 6th. We're having an educator recruitment fair on March 14th, the STEAM Expo on March 28th. And then we're having a big celebration. We'd love for you to be present where our annual celebration. We call it Celebrating Our School Community, and that's going to be on April 2nd. And that's where we do a year in review. We have lots of fun activities, and we would be honored to have you present. We'd love for our student trustees to consider speaking at that event. April 2nd is Celebrating Our School Community. So more information to follow. All right. So that is it for my update. I would entertain any questions that you may have.
Thank you, first of all. Do we have any questions, comments? It's a lot of the discrepancies in some of those numbers are really heartbreaking and concerning, and particularly for the wellness of our students, and with budgets sort of being cut and being strained across our county, some of the resources for our students get cut. I know we work with partners to try to kind of backfill some of that. What efforts or what additional efforts can we as the County Office of Education sort of help backfill, or what are we doing, or what can we do to ensure that the students continue to get the support that they need?
Well, so mental health and behavioral health, but more broadly, including support for students who are experiencing addiction, has been a huge focus for us. In fact, with Director Melissa Lopez here, we were just talking recently about the significant increase in funding revenue that has been brought in to the County Office of Education to support the implementation of behavioral health services across the county. So part of what we do and what the Student Services Division does is really focusing on, creating the system to facilitate the creation of wellness centers, the ability to bill for services, which is a new feature that almost all the districts have been participating in, and also to develop the relationships with the county, with nonprofit agencies, to be able to maximize our ability to provide services. That system is complex, and the funding is multifaceted, and we've tried to do everything we can to simplify that process to make it as easy as possible for our school districts. The challenge is that once funding, when districts that are struggling financially and are having to make tough decisions and cuts, such as the Pajaro Valley School District that received a qualified budget, this is one of the areas that they're considering reductions in. Now, they are looking at shifting resources from full-time staff to nonprofit organizations to be able to provide some of those services. And so part of our role is to support the districts to ensure that those services are being delivered and that student services are not being impacted. With that said, I have to say that the ongoing, the challenges that we face with declining enrollment, sometimes the instability that we experience because of state funding and the local control funding formula, the lack of funding for special education services or the limited funding that we receive for special education put pressure on these support systems. And so just like in most situations, we end up funding what we have to fund, which is, of course, teachers in the classroom for a certain number of students. And that can affect those other services that are not necessarily required to be in place. So we see our role as being a support agency to really help districts be as efficient as possible. And you did receive a presentation, I believe, from our student services team that gave more specificity to better answer your question.
Are there any other comments?
I believe
Just Moore?
What is it that Rishi Lal did to get that award?
So Rishi Lal is our director of school safety, and he has done. He facilitates our BASA meetings, which includes working with school districts and law enforcement agencies to be able to respond to to support students who may be having behavior challenges and receiving support. He was the one that actually wrote the grant for the Ascend grant, and actually, so the $6 million that came to us were as a result of his advocacy. And in doing that, the partnerships that he has developed with all those law enforcement agencies to build that program is one of the things that the Sheriff's Office has identified. In addition to that, he is the primary contact now for all emergency operations. And so whenever there is, whether it's a weather alert or situation related to violence in the community, he is our primary liaison with law enforcement. So he acts as a liaison for us. And so those positive relationships that he's developed to create partnerships between schools and law enforcement, in addition to creating the Ascend program, which covers all minors in the county when it comes to their potential involvement with law enforcement, is part of the reason why they've selected him for this award.
Thank you very much for the report. And we'll be getting those slides right after, right?
Yes, and I apologize for
That's
the
okay.
small charts on the screen, but I would encourage you to check out both the Racial Justice and Equity website as well as our data portal, and we'll be sure to share those links with you.
Awesome. I like numbers. All right, we're going to get into our trustee reports, and we'll start with Trustee Sanchez and just go along the line.
Okay, so this past month we had, or I attended 2 different events that many of you were in attendance at as well. The first one being our self-evaluation, January 24th. It's always good to have that and sit together and just to be able to talk. I really like the format as well. It's very open. It's very, it's like a self-driven, I think. So it was good to be able to do that. And then we also met the 19th, the charter, no, I got the date wrong. The charter committee. I forget what date it was, but we met and be able to discuss about charters and what's coming up for us as a board. So we had a really good conversation in terms of the charters that we do oversee and the plan that we have for this upcoming year and sharing a little bit more with the board, kind of formalizing a little bit better, so we can share more reports and have a little bit more transparency in terms of the charter schools that we do oversee. So we'll share more information as the year progresses once we do have that. I do also want to take some time to talk a little bit about ACCBE. and some of the upcoming webinars that they have, most of which are virtual, which I plan on attending just because it's convenient, right? We all have an hour in the day to be able to attend them. And if we can fit them into our schedule, then I recommend that we all do so as well. But the next one that they have is February 26th. This is a Thursday, 7 p.m. virtual meeting again. This is advocacy update and how you can engage with legislators. I think that's a big part of our role is advocating, right? And reaching out to legislators and getting our voice heard. And then the other one is March 5th. This one is from noon to 1 p.m. This is also virtual. And this is Building Trustee Excellence LCAP training. So who knows, we might be able to teach as well, be able to provide our own input on LCAP and this specific virtual. So again, I encourage everybody to attend because it's a meeting with other COEs from the state and people who understand our language, people who understand what we're going through, and we can definitely learn a lot from each other. So if we can definitely do that. And we all should be receiving these emails from ACCBE, but if you aren't, we can work on that. That's my report.
Attended the last of the EAC's graduation. Really enjoyed it. I was sick on our board retreat. I'm sick that I missed it, but I ran into Dr. Denver and as I was leaving the emergency room, she was crying as a child. So validated illness.
We trusted you.
I was crawling and
Wow.
pulling a sick kid. Then I was still sick and missed the Capitol advisors, but thank you for the I attended the Scotts Valley Unified School District Measure 5 parcel tax. I'm on their advisory committee. And then also the charter committee meeting, which I thought very robust. Yeah. Good things with them. Getting more information to the board rather than just kind of being held by the your turn.
Whew, I have a long list this month. On MLK Day, I volunteered with my children at Live Like Coco's birthday book prep, which I've done several times over the years. It's just a fun event, but it was their first time. I attended the PVPSA Soup for a Cause with some other people here. That was my first time at that event. Had always wanted to go, so I was super excited to be there and found it so inspiring. Really enjoyed our board retreat. And I want more, I'm going off the cuff now. I want more events like that where we can sort of get to know each other a little bit. I really enjoyed that part of it. Santa Cruz City Schools is doing this parent learning series. And luckily I don't know if it was the first one, it was the first one I attended, was at Harbor. So just, I could take the 8 minutes to get there. And it was a presentation from a UCLA professor on the teenage brain. It was so interesting and it was so dataful that I just was my little researcher heart was pounding. It was so exciting and eye-opening. I mean, just I could share more. But anyway, so that was a fantastic event. And it was the same week. It was like a Monday. And then on Wednesday, I went to the Masque Live-In, also in Capitola, so it was easy for me to get to. And that just blew me away. And I think anyone who is raising, teaching, or coaching boys needs to see that film. It was, made a list of all the people I wanted to talk to about it. Let's see, I was a participant at Shoreline Middle School's Career Day for the first time ever. That was an interesting experience. Also share more if anybody wants to hear about that, but I'd always wanted to do one and I finally got to do it. So 8th graders. No, not last Saturday, but 2 weekends ago was the CCS Honor Band I had been telling you all about. So the Honor Band and orchestra performed at Cabrillo. And it's just amazing to hear what they can put together. They get 2.5 days of rehearsal, and they're from around the CCS region. So Carmel to Davenport and out to Hollister, just fantastic. And then last night, President Williams and I jointly presented to the Soquel Unified Elementary School District Board, and that went really well. And that was part of what we talked about the board retreat, was coming up with sort of some talking points and common shared slide deck information. We didn't do anything formal, so no slide deck, but we used some of the talking points Nick had shared with us, and then tailored it to what they wanted to hear about. And I think it went really well, but we're gonna debrief and then we can provide some more substantive feedback. We'll go out and do that. That was my first time presenting to a school board as a trustee. So I thought it was great, and thank you for supporting me.
I joined our team at the MLK parade, and that was fun as usual. Then a bunch of committee work. The policy committee finally got into gear, promising a lot for several meetings, and we have more coming too. And the resolution committee, we got some really substantive resolutions today. I mean, not that we don't other times too, but I felt good about that. And the board retreat was great. I really appreciate it.
I'll pass my time to.
I'll try not to use that too much. I've been neglectful turning in a written report for the past several months, but I won't start. Thank you. Thanks for the reminder. President Williams and I were at many things together, so I'll try not to repeat those, but there's 3 more graduations after our last meeting, and it was a joy to spend the time down in seeing Sequoia for the first time and getting a tour of that facility, as well as attending those 3 wonderful graduations. Martin Luther King's Day Parade. I also attended my first ever COPA meeting, which is a community organizing and power together. And I didn't know it was a COPA meeting. I was told it was a broader futuring discussion, but it was a great meeting. And I think we'll all be hearing more about those efforts over the next year. I mentioned earlier a gathering of some state officials where the whole discussion about the growing health needs of the state came up, and how the state wants to take more action on that, particularly for in-home social service workers, making sure their compensation is attractive and sustainable for them as families and members of our community. We had our periodic SCUSBA meeting, which is the Santa Cruz County School Boards Association. President Williams was there as well. The big accomplishment was IDUCT being nominated for an officer position. So I viewed that as a big victory. But it's, again, it's worth going to those meetings once a year or so. Just you hear representatives from all of the districts talk about what they're focusing on. And that's interesting. It did dawn on me that there's no student representatives there, and I'm not even sure they're ever invited. So that's something in terms of student trustees, they might, and there's a zoom in function as well. In fact, you listen often just so you know what's going on in all the other districts. I'm going to actually let our president talk about it, but the single most inspiring event I went to this past month was the Titans of Tech. And I, since you were more personally involved with our recipient, or you worked with her on our committee, I'll let you speak to that, but it was a powerful voice meeting. And I'd never been to that event. It's honorees in technology, and there were 2 educators up there with university researchers and technologists. So it was, and greatest speaker was ours. I'll leave it at that. The next day, the 29th, Ed Voice hosted a panel with Marshall Tucker, Yolanda Flores from Families and Schools, and Edgar Zazueta of the Association of School Administrators, just talking about the dangers we face federally. And kind of the one takeaway is, as we've seen either the courts or even the president, the current federal administration, drop some of the assaults that are going on, at least in funding. I really got the sense there's palpable fear from people at the state level working on those issues, that after the midterm elections, all those will be renewed, all the cuts and the loss of funding will come back in a year. So keep our vigilance up. Capital Advisors Program was great. Not too many board members there from any board there this year. Let's see. City Schools is launching an endowment program, and it was great to go to that launch of their fundraising effort to create a $5 million endowment for the school as a starting point. Mock trials, volunteered at 2 of those, continue to be inspired by the kids, the judges, and the COE staff that puts that together. Great program and links right into work we do supporting kids. In between the 2 mock trial nights I went to, there was a CASA luncheon, which also had judges involved doing the handoff for foster youth support, which directly links to our work. I didn't go to this event thinking it was related to COE. I just went because I've never been past the gate, and that's the Younger Lagoon out by the Seymour Aquarium at the far west side of campus. It's a UCSC property, and they're required to do 3 or 4 tours that are open to the public during the course of the year. Otherwise, it's a reserve to protect wildlife and natural species. But coming out of that, ran into the director of the Seymour Center, who is really focused on nexties for youth on marine sciences and the like, and really trying to get more involved and has been working with the high school, but wants to broaden that to high schools more broadly. So I'll share that with the superintendent. Poetry Out Loud, my first time ever going to that. And that was inspirational again to just hear students reciting their own and others' poetry as part of a competitive process. Sure glad I wasn't a judge at that. It would have been hard. The gender affirming care session was inspiring, especially I didn't know our student trustee Moore was going to be the speaker. And as I mentioned, he did great. Also attended the County Office of Ed first of 3 programs. So there's another one coming to the San Lorenzo Scotts Valley and another one to Pajaro Valley District Environment for Youth effort. And it's really to try to do outreach to solid waste or food waste management, which Trustee Moore also brought up earlier. Incredibly well organized, low attendance, but it was a beautiful sunny day in the middle of winter. So I think that was trying to swim uphill to get people to come to back to school on a Saturday to talk and learn about food waste management instead of being outdoors, but it was incredibly well organized. Linked to the charter, just because PCS is in the district I represent, and I tried to go to their back to school night, but I had COVID. And so the new head of school reached out and said, hey, we weren't able to meet at back to school night. Why don't you come and take a tour of the school? Because I hadn't been on campus in probably 4 years. So it was great to meet the new head of school and see the new student murals. Last one I did want to mention and just suggest input. I don't think there's a Brown Act violation with it. I mentioned before I'm on the CSBA's planning committee for the annual December conference. We had our first meeting by Zoom. We have our first in-person meeting coming up in a couple of weeks in Sacramento. And they're looking for keynote speaker suggestions. That's what they want us to bring to that meeting in 2 weeks, as well as theme tracks that we'd like to have discussed. Be it AI, that's kind of the one people are using as an example. And so given that's not action that comes to this board, I think it may be okay for people to give me suggestions, or would you prefer it go through staff? I'm just, it's easy for me to ask other school boards. I'm just wanted to make sure I was following protocol to get suggestions.
I believe that the only possibility of a Brown Act violation is that if there would be a future action that could come from that, then the public would have rights to know about all the communication that would occur. My recommendation maybe would be to maybe give it to one of the existing committees
as a topic.
And as a topic, and those folks could collect it, and then we could, or we could treat it as we could treated as communication between board members.
Oh, that's true.
And then so we get that publicized, and it can be perceived by board members, and that would allow the public to know.
Really like your first idea, and maybe when we get to the committee reports, I'll make a referral to the or legislative committee is probably. Okay, great. And I'll stop there. I've talked. I should have done it in writing. I should have done it in writing.
That's okay. That's okay. Remember, he handed over his 3 minutes, so.
Those are yours.
All right. Like many of the trustees have stated, we shared a lot of events, attending events together. I was also invited to participate in COPA. I haven't been able to be in person, but I look forward to doing some of that work. Had the privilege of attending MLK parade with the COE. That's always a great time. PVSA, Soup for Cause. I didn't get to stay long because I was attending a online deal with the ACCBE conference, and it was starting strong, and it was for new presidents of the board. So I cut out early from that to go to that event. Two things in one. So yes, Texas Titan, I attended as well. Stephanie Sumana was an award recipient for it. She closed out the night incredibly. Like I was like, oh my God, they're going to present to her last, and we have to stay here the whole night. But she brought the house down, and she was amazing. She is also the one who started Her Story. And I'm on the committee. I was on the committee, the selection committee for that. And so that was really great to meet with other folks in the community and talk about all of the amazing women in our community and the work that they're doing. Attended the SCUSMA remotely. Also a mock trial volunteer. My daughter did it for several years when she was in high school. So it was really nice just to kind of be there and watch other students do their thing. And they are incredible. You should just go. You don't have to volunteer, but just go and watch. They are so impressive. They're so impressive. Let's see here. Attended the Agenda Policy and Charter Committee meetings this month. Attended the Federal Fiscal and Political Impacts on Students' Mental Health and Wellness webinar. That was pretty incredible, and that definitely comes in with lots of other trustees from the county boards of education and sharing experiences and just really hearing, how all the fiscal effects, all the programs kind of talking about. And attended the event co-sponsored by the CUA, I believe, Rebecca Winthrop, Director of the Center for Universal Education. And her book and the discussion was What's Driving Teens Disengagement, and what educators can do about it. And it was very well attended, very good discussion, lots of topics and discussion on AI and how it affects those aspects of their disengagement and what's healthy and what's not. And then, of course, as Trustee Kyle mentioned, attended with her the Soquel Unified School District. And they had invited her, and I wanted to go and just support her. And be in the crowd. And then she said, hey, why don't you talk? But she did an amazing job. She said it was her first time talking to the board, but she's a pro, and she did an amazing job, and she represented us well. What we did learn from that is that districts want to see us. They want us to be present. And that was part of the reason why we've started putting together sort of a presentation, hopefully into a packet that each of us can use to go into our districts and maybe go into so that we can support each other and show that, we operate as a team, and so my suggestion would be is I went with her, and then she'll go with another trustee to a school in their district, etc. And they were very pleased to.
And you told them ahead of time?
Well, they had invited Trustee Kyle
got it.
to come and present and introduce herself to the board, and so I just was going to go just to in the crowd.
And
And
I
then it
love the formalizing of it. I go to each of the boards in the area I represent at least once a year, just to say I'm here, but it's under public comment. It's not agendized. It's just, I'm here. I
Greg,
represent.
when you've done that, have you told the superintendent or the board chair ahead of time?
Don't want to get too far off of what we're
Sorry,
allowed to do. I try
Yeah,
to
because this is
report-
my time.
Well, I didn't get enough from him. So I'm stealing some of
I'm
yours.
just kidding. I'm glad. The discussion is great. No, I really want to have the discussion, but about the formality of it, I think it's really important. I'd like it to be sort of an initiative that we do this year and formalize it. And I think it is important to let a superintendent know, or the trustees, like, we're going to come. And if they invite us to speak to them, it's like, oh, great. Why don't you guys, then we're prepared. And we're all talking with one voice, and we're prepared with the information that they might be looking.
Great idea.
I usually try to let the superintendent and the board chair.
So that ends my report. Yes, Trustee Moore.
Something I'd like to bring up before we finish is that Cabrillo College is hosting a blood drive on March 3rd. It's from 9 a.m. to 2 p.m. If any of you guys would like to join me there, I think it's a really good thing. It'll be in the Aptos Cabrillo campus in the cafeteria.
Great, thank you for that. Some of us have talked about it a little bit, but going on to item 14, any ad hoc or standing committee reports? Is there any of the committees that would like to add to what they've already shared? I think that you wanted to share something.
I just wanted to see if the Legislative and Community Outreach Committee might have time at your next meeting to just talk through issues that you think would be appropriate to share with me as a regional representative to the ACE Planning Committee.
Oh, okay, good. That's what you were mentioning earlier. Yeah.
And I don't know if we keep a running sort of list when trustees make recommendations for the community outreach or legislative, like future resolutions. I know other school boards, and I think it would be really great for us, considering that we live in a very high ag community, is recognizing Cesar Chavez Day on his birthday. A lot of schools do a resolution for it, and so maybe something for next year. It's too late to do it this year. It'd be like March 31st, so we kind of missed it. But like, I don't know if we keep a running list of like, hey, next year let's add that. Yeah, but do we have one? Okay, well, maybe then that's a good time. That's right. Yep. All right. So maybe we didn't miss it.
But what I would like is to not have to take a note in order to remember that. So I think you were sort of suggesting maybe we a little more of a system, but for now, if just Berenice, who has notes, I think could send us to the committee as a reminder, that'd be great.
No, that sounds great.
I make a lot of notes, but often when I get home, this just goes in a pile.
That sounds good. Thank you. Yeah. Any other reports from any of the ad hoc committees? Okay, let's see here. We have our scheduled of meetings and upcoming events. Dr. Sabah shared many of the event dates, and listed on the screen are our upcoming regularly scheduled meetings. And if there is nothing more, we will adjourn. Thank you, everyone.